features the top 2 teams in America, the Vanderbilt Commodores. They are ranked #1. They will take on the 2nd-ranked LSU Tigers. The Commodores, their 3rd straight appearance in this championship game. They have lost the last 2 years. For LSU, their 17th trip to the championship tilt. How did we get here? Well, both these clubs had to come out of the losers bracket. As a matter of fact, Arkansas knocked off LSU in first game for those clubs, and then Texas A&M shut down this Vanderbilt team 16-8. Vanderbilt responded, though, knocking off Mississippi State yesterday in a slugfest, and LSU responded and knocked off the Hogs 3-1. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Dave Neal alongside my partner Kyle Peterson, the 3-time All-American from Stanford. And Kyle, it's not too often we get to see #1 and #2 specifically in the same conference. How big a deal is this?
I think it's a really big deal, and I think we could tell when we were down on the field. We saw Tim Corbin bouncing around. He's ready to go. Paul Benary was ready to go. It just has a big game environment feel. Teams walk through the stands as they're going down to the dugout. Fans were here early sprinting in the general admission. It feels like a big game, and what I like about it, they haven't played all season. The 2 top teams in the SEC, but they did not meet during the regular season.
Well, certainly these 2 clubs can pitch with the best of them. I mean, their staffs are as loaded as anybody in America, but they hit the ball pretty well. Overall, it's hard to pick a hole in either one of these clubs.
No, I mean, you got 2 of the top clubs in the entire country. 2 that are legitimate favorites to go on to Omaha and potentially win the entire thing. Batting average is close. ERA is both sub-3. Depth you'll see on both of these, and really going to see the depth today because of how late we are in the tournament. And that .981 fielding percentage for LSU, that would set a school record. That's one of the things that's really made them that good this year.
Well, Tim Corbin has taken his Commodore teams to Omaha. That was 2 years ago. Trying to get back there this season. Certainly his team is built for that. Paul Benary, he won the national title in 2009. He's also had some great success here at this tournament past few years and trying to capture yet another SEC tournament crown. He has won 70% of his games. Here's how the coach filled out his lineup today. You'll see this Tiger club at 51-9. Sean McMullen will lead it off. Casey Yoakum gets the start at second base today. That means Cat's back at first base. And as far as 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the lineup, I don't think there's anybody in America that could probably produce that kind of statistical advantage, except for the guys in the other dugout. That's how good it is. Well, the man that gets the ball today, Philip Pfeiffer, the left-hander, coming off a pretty good appearance against Belmont in his last outing.
It is. You can see the numbers for Pfeiffer, and he's a guy whose fastball, can get up into the low 90s at times. Changeup can be an out pitch, and that's the one thing to watch with Pfeiffer, especially against the right-handed hitters for LSU. Just his 2nd start since April 14th, though, but he's a guy who has had the ability to go deep in games, and ideally today for Vandy, late in this tournament, they'd love 5 or 6 from Pfeiffer.
Well, here we go. We've got a full house at Hoover Met. And we are underway. Pfeiffer's first pitch in there for a strike to Sean McMullen. McMullen yesterday went 0 for 4 at the top of the lineup. He'll be the DH in that lineup. The junior on the year, hitting .318. Second pitch, fly ball left side. John Hammond makes the catch. 1 down. Well, this Vanderbilt team missing one key component out in left field, and that's Jack Lupo. He's been bothered by a groin injury, so John Hammond has been in that left field spot the last few games. Lupo should be ready for the regionals, but there is a look at what will be a really good player for Vanderbilt in years to come. Just a youngster. So Casey Yoakum gets the start today. Casey hadn't played a whole lot this year, the senior out of Nevada. But he did wrap up the regular season against Ole Miss with a 4-hit performance. Here's a slow roller. Condi will have to throw on the raw, and he does so. 2 down.
There's a change we talked about from Pfeiffer right there, and you can tell with the swing of Yoakum out in front of it, the difference in velocity got him there. Vince Condi come get it. Not a natural shortstop. Condi did not play that position last year. Has made a real smooth transition there. Kind of had to go around the freshman Xavier Turner. Gloved it, threw it off that right foot. 2 quick outs here in the first for Vandy.
So now here comes Alex Bregman to the plate. A freshman out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, has just been a dominating force in college baseball this year in his first season at the Division I level, and what a year it's been. .382 average, 5 homers and 49 runs batted in. base hit for Alex Bregman. That is his 96th hit of the season.
As a freshman. The kid will barrel it up about as much as anybody you'll see in the entire country. No batting gloves, goes up there, stands, uses swing at the first pitch. When he gets something, he's going to hack, but he gets the barrel of the bat to the baseball as much as anyone in the country.
So Katz will step in with 2 outs. He's back in his comfort zone today over at first base. He's been playing some second base since Jacoby Jones broke a bone in his hand a few weeks ago. Katz, 64 runs batted in. He and Connor Harrell, who we'll see for the Commodores, tied atop the RBI list in the SEC. Here's a ground ball to Condi. He will throw it over to Tony Kemp, and that'll do it. So Bregman is left stranded. Good start for Philip Pfeiffer. We'll see the Doors bats when we come back. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Hoover, Alabama. We are just outside of Birmingham at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. Another outstanding crowd on hand. Had almost 12,000 here yesterday. We'll probably touch that number today as we take a look at the Vanderbilt starting 9 offensively. Same lineup it's looked like for a while. Tony Kemp will lead things off, led the SEC in so many categories, including batting average, having a good tournament. He's at .409. Turner, Yastrzemski, Connor Harrell, Conrad Gregor. Now we will see a pinch hitter for Beatty, who is in the DH. Beatty, their ace pitcher. And then Condi, Norwood, and Navin will round out that lineup. Not a weak link in there. And another left-hander gets the call today for LSU.
Here's to the face, Brent Bonvillain, who has been really a key to this LSU bullpen for a lot of the year. Beginning of the year, they thought Bonvillain might be a weekend guy. He's fit more into the bullpen, upper 80s fastball. Control at times can be an issue. That's the one thing that gets Bonvillain from time to time. And he does need to control his Vandy running game. This is a guy you don't want to put on base.
Tony Kemp has been a scary, scary opponent for many pitchers around the country this year. Ground ball to second base. Yoakum will have a chance. Does his job, and Kemp is retired 4-3. Mason Katz back over at first base. A couple issues yesterday at second base. Never played the position until the final series of the regular season against Ole Miss. Regardless of that, you see what this defense has done all year, and Paul Mainieri has said it time and time again, could be the best defensive team he's ever seen in college baseball. And he's been around some pretty good teams and seen some good teams. Bregman has just been stellar at shortstop.
He's got a shortstop playing short and a JUCO shortstop playing third, so the left side of that infield can pick it.
Slapped into right by Xavier Turner, the freshman. Turner's .316 average will trickle up a little bit after that base hit. And that'll take us to the 3-hole hitter, Mike Yastrzemski. As we haven't seen Vanderbilt the last 3-4 years, he is the grandson of legendary Carl Yastrzemski, and he has just been consistent from the day he set foot on the Vanderbilt campus in Nashville 4 years ago. Talking to Tim Corbin about Mike Yastrzemski, he just said he is a ball player.
You know, it's interesting at its highest level sometimes within Division I baseball, you don't see seniors that are playing major roles. We see it for both of these teams. We got Yastrzemski hitting right in the middle of it. Connor Harrell's going to hit right behind him, another senior in LSU with Katz and Rhymes, 2 seniors fitting right in the middle of their lineup.
Breaking ball in there for a strike. It's 1-1 to Yastrzemski. Mike at .321. 3 homers and 40 runs batted in. The right fielder. This could be 2. Bregman says, I'll handle this, and he does. Inning over. That was quick. Well, there's a reason this club fields at such a high level. Bregman's one of them. College baseball is brought to you by Ink, the small business card from Chase. Learn more at chase.com/ink. Well, that was yesterday.
You can do it all.
And that's our pitcher for Vanderbilt today, Philip Pfeiffer.
It's just your typical day before prep. Down there working on it in the bullpen.
Pfeiffer gave up one hit, that to Alex Bregman. Got out of the inning as Mason Katz hit into a fielder's choice, so it's Ray Frimes, Christian Ibarra, and Ty Ross. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 for LSU here in the top of the second inning. Grimes smashes one down the line and left. Hammond will have to chase it down. Grimes is going to try for two. Here comes the throw. Got it!
Look at the freshman Norwood on the left. Off the bat, it looks like two the entire way. Ray Frimes thought the exact same thing, but John Norwood, the freshman, goes over to get it. Doesn't have a ton of time, but sets that right foot. One hops into Tony Kemp. Watch his tag. Dives to get that foot. He knows the only chance he has is to get the glove down and beat the foot to the back.
Christian Ibarra will step in for LSU.
So watch the glove. Kemp's going to go get it and then lay the glove right where that left leg was.
What do you think about Grimes trying to push it a little bit early in the game?
Yeah, I got no problem with it, especially with nobody out. I mean, go ahead. Take the chance right there. It took an absolutely perfect throw to get him, and it was a perfect throw.
Ibarra will step in. Christian, 3 for 4 yesterday, has raised his average up to .335. Big swing by Ibarra. 2-2. See if Pfeiffer can get comfortable with that changeup. Talking to the Vandy coaches, if that is working for him, he can be a dangerous guy on the mound. And misses inside. And a walk to Ibarra with one down.
Tried it though. Yeah, that was a changeup there. Just got around it. You'll see sometimes from guys when the changeup cuts is when they're not getting through it as well as they usually can. The changeup has sink, so for Pfeiffer, when it goes down and away from the left-hander, that means they're really finishing the pitch. If it cuts, a lot of times you're getting a little bit too much hand on it. When you release it, you can't quite control it.
So Ty Ross will step in, the catcher, 0 for 4 yesterday on the year. Ty hitting .212. The veteran leader on this club. Has 3 hits in the tournament. Got some pop in the bat. He is a strong, well-built young man who has caught a ton of innings this year for the Tigers. Fouled straight back. It's 1-1. Vanderbilt's been in this tournament the last 2 years. This is their 3rd consecutive trip. They've yet to score a run in the last 2 appearances. Meanwhile, and you can tell Tim Corbin really wants this one today. I mean, that's just something that sticks with you for a while. Being blanked in back-to-back championship games. Last year, Mississippi State got him 3-0. LSU's been here. This is their 17th trip to the SEC tournament championship game. They have won 9 SEC tournament crowns. And this is up and away. LSU 51-9. They went 23-7 in conference play during the regular season. That is a school record for SEC wins. This is a club that's won 8 of their last 10. There's a shot past the glove of Condi into left field. First and second now for LSU. The fourth hit of the tournament for Ty Ross. Boy, now the throw by Hammond to get Rhymes at second base to start this inning looks even bigger. So Jared Foster will step in, the right fielder. Jared hitting .373 this year. 1 homer, 6 runs batted in. Foster hit the 2-hole yesterday, went 2 out of 3. Swinging a pitch up and out of the zone. As you might expect, a lot of purple and gold.
They show up. They were here early too. All these were out.
I will say this though, from the black and gold of Vanderbilt compared to what we saw yesterday, they have doubled, if not tripled, the number of fans that have found their way into the Met.
A lot of them at our hotel.
Fly ball to the right side. Yastrzemski backpedaling, can't catch it. Ibarra had to hold up at second base. Nobody's at first, and now Kemp just threw it away. Ibarra will score. Kemp threw it to an empty base.
It was a perfect throw. There's anybody there. That's the problem. And Kemp thinking what you normally would in that spot. The problem is the first baseman's going to cut. So Kemp gets the throw, sees what's going on. Yastrzemski was playing really shallow, so couldn't quite get to it. But the base runner at second, Ibarra, was literally standing on second base when this ball fell. So big turn right here by Foster. He has to go back. Now watch the ball. Goes zipping right past him right there. Did not go in the dugout. Hit the top step and caromed off, but still enough for LSU to score that first run, which on a ball like that probably should have anyway. Ibarra going back to tag. Ends up scoring. Now LSU with 1 in, guys on second, third with 1 out.
That'll go down as a single, no RBI, an error on Kemp. And it's 1-0 LSU. As Andrew Stevenson steps in. Stevenson, the center fielder, hitting just .179 this year. This guy can really fly. Well, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody sail it to an empty bag like that.
I mean, we were right over the top of the bag. Everybody standing there. It's perfect.
Here's a chopper for short. Condi not going to get the speedy Stevenson. Ross scores. It's 2-0 LSU.
So this starts by where Xavier Turner starts. And if you're playing in on this ball, there's not enough time to go cut it off. If the third baseman's playing deeper, he cuts his ball off. It's probably an out. But Turner having to play in a little bit to respect the speed of Stevens. When this ball's slapped, he has to go a little bit too deep. Can't quite get to it. By the time Condi gets there, no chance to throw out Stevenson.
Well, scored a base hit with an RBI for Stevenson. That's his 13th run batted in this year. And now the order flips over. McMullen will step in. First and third.
Well, watch where Turner starts. So you're starting even with the bag. There's just not enough time. He has to take a real straight line to it. Whereas if you're deep, you can go a little bit more towards first base. Probably cuts that ball off and it's an out. But it's because of the speed of Stevens they're playing there.
There's a strike. 0-1 to McMullen.
You're a left-handed hitter in Stevenson. You force that third baseman to play up, and it just changes the way the defense has to play.
So Pfeiffer in some trouble, the sophomore out of Knoxville, Tennessee. 90-mile-an-hour fastball up above the letters. McMullen chased it. He's behind 0-2. Pfeiffer out of Farragut High School in Knoxville. They have put out some very talented baseball players over the years. That one stays upstairs again, 1-2. These were the top 2 hitting teams in the conference when the regular season ended. 319 for Vandy, 312 for LSU. In the tournament, Vanderbilt hitting 306. That is tops in what was a 12-team field. Meanwhile, LSU at 4th at 262 at the plate. New format this year, added a day, brought in 12 of the 14 teams. Misses. It's now full 3-2 after an 0-2 start.
0-2 to 3-2. See if Stevenson starts on first base right here. 3-2 count with just 1 out. Left on left is not an easy matchup for McMullen, but I would bet Stevenson with that speed is off and running. Just got to make sure Pfeiffer's going home.
Fouled straight back. We'll do it again. Eighth pitch of this at-bat coming up to McMullen. 33 pitches in the game for Pfeiffer.
Just 8 pitches in the first inning total.
Fouled straight back. Another souvenir. You know, when you get in this situation, you pitch for a long time. Guy keeps fouling off pitches, pitch after pitch. Are you frustrated? Are you feeling good that you're throwing something up there you can't hit?
No, there's times it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Especially when you make the pitch you think it's going to get him out. There's times when it leaves your hand and you go, yep. Then he fouls it off and you go, what?
Well, let's see what he does here.
Swing and miss.
Didn't miss that. Yastrzemski on a line makes the catch. Boy, they might have had a play at first. Everybody, well, not everybody, but run scores as Foster touches home plate. But nobody was there at first base.
Yeah, that one got Tim Corbin off the front step. He came out right there and was on Conrad Gregor for vacating. Gregor in a normal spot like that is going to be your cutoff man. So the first baseman's going to go be the cut for the throw from right field. But watch how far the base runner is off. Stevenson is, by the time this was over, probably 20 feet away. And Yastrzemski's first look was over to first. He's not going to throw the guy at home plate. The only chance you have is to go to first. And that's one that Gregor probably should have seen early. It's tough because your normal action for a first baseman is to go be the cutoff, and that's what you do every time. But if you notice that base runner's that far away, realistically, the only chance you have in an out is to go back to first and double him off.
So now there is 2 down in the inning. Casey Yoakum will step in. Casey grounded out to short his first time up. Runner goes. Navin's throw to the third base side, and he wanted some interference, and Corbin's going to come out of the dugout.
And Navin turned around right away, and you could see he really short-armed this one, and I think it was because of the bat. I think it was the bat of Yoakum that was out, not necessarily the body. I think the tough thing with that for a catcher is if it's somebody's body, watch. I don't think that's interference. I don't mind trying to sell it. I thought it was the bat that was out there, but in that spot, I don't think Yoakum did anything wrong.
So 0-1, and the runner at second base is Andrew Stevenson. Yoakum, the senior, out of Reno, Nevada. Breaking ball. Did he go? Yes, he did. That'll be a strike. 1-2. 30 pitches this inning for Pfeiffer. LSU could possibly have one more run on the board if it wasn't for John Hammond throwing out Ray Frimes at second base to start this inning. Yoakum goes down, but a good start for LSU. They pick up 3 runs, 4 hits, and they will leave a runner at second base. Games to 1. Tennessee also advanced. They beat Alabama 2-0. It'll be the 6th trip to the Women's College World Series for the Lady Vols. Florida also advances. Congrats to the Gators. They knock off UAB 2-0. It'll be their 5th trip as Connor Harrell steps in. Connor Harrell at 318. Right back up the middle. He's on with a leadoff single. And we talked about the middle of that LSU lineup. The middle of this Vanderbilt lineup is just as dangerous. Conrad Gregor, 308. He's got 3 home runs, 43 runs batted in. Bonvillain had a relatively easy first inning. Had a ground ball to Kemp, then a single to Turner, but then Yastrzemski hit into a 6-4 double play, or a 6-3 double play.
You can see that spin on that breaking ball from Bonvillain, and it's really, really tight. When he finishes it, that breaking ball is really good. That one just cast it a little bit. And that arm side didn't quite finish it. But when he gets through it, that's got a ton of break. That was better. That's the spot you want to throw it, and especially against a left-handed hitter. You can see that first reaction of a left-handed hitter a lot of times with a breaking ball against a left-handed pitcher. They just stand up a little. When you see that first movement where they stand up, usually going to beat.
That one's fouled back. We'll do it again at 1-2. Just misses outside and a little bit low. You know, both these staffs have 2 of the best starting pitchers in the country. When you get in this tournament situation, you're down to a guy that's normally maybe your 4th, even 5th starter. There's a line over the glove of Bregman. Connor Harrell will stop at third, and a double for Conrad Gregor. That will be his 13th double of the year, and now Vanderbilt trying to answer the call.
How about this approach? And I like the change of approach over the course of the at-bat. So when Gregor saw the first breaker ball kind of stood up, this time it's a fastball. Watch him stay in there, though. Front shoulder stays right in, trying to take it right over the head of the shortstop. It is a perfect approach for a left-handed hitter against a left-handed pitcher. You know most times they're going to try to work you away. That time just went right with it. Now Vanderbilt looking to answer right back. Second and third, nobody out here in a second.
Well, the lineup featured Tyler Beatty at the start of the game as the designated hitter. Tim Corbin likes to do that in his lineup, and then that gives him some options when the game starts. If there was a situation where he wanted to use a guy one time to lay down a bunt, he could do that and wouldn't have to burn that DH spot. But he'll swing away. Xander Wheel will grab the bat, and he'll be the DH. Officially listed as a pinch hitter, but he will slide into that DH role.
This kid is going to be a player. Limited action this year, but still 4 home runs, 24 RBIs. He doesn't even have 70 at-bats yet. You give him a full season next year, let him go out this summer and get a bunch of at-bats. Xander Wheel is going to be a force for the next 2 years.
And a big boy, 6'3", 215. That stays outside. 2-0 on Xander Wheel. Vanderbilt, if they can push a run across here, that would snap a 22-inning scoreless streak in the SEC championship game. There's a strike. How good has Vanderbilt been under Tim Corbin, who's now in his 11th season? They have been in this championship game at the SEC tournament 7 of the last 10 years. He's been there 11. I mean, that's in this league, getting to this title game, that's impressive.
I think what's even more impressive is what it was before he got there. I mean, you talk about somebody literally building a program. He has done that at Vanderbilt, and in a very short period of time has made him among the best in the entire country. Look at that. In almost 100 years before Tim Corbin showed up, they went to the postseason 3 times. Now they've done it 7 consecutive years, 8 times since he's been here. And this year they might be the #1 overall seed.
Wheel fouls it down the line, and a souvenir. You know, these clubs didn't meet in the regular season, Kyle, and I'm wondering at scouting reports, do you still go over it and attack it like you would if it was a regular season series?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, I think you do. I mean, it's, you know, they've seen each other plenty on TV, I'm sure, and obviously there's plenty of video out there to try to pull stuff off, but you bet. And you're going after it, maybe not quite as much as you would just from a timing standpoint during the regular season, but they've got reports on everybody today.
On for line. Trying to get Xander Wheel with runners at second and third. There's a slow roll. That'll be a foul ball. Just foul. Says Paul Gillier down that third baseline.
Hitting fair territory to start, but looked like it went over the when it crossed the back, crossed in foul territory. We talk so much about Tim Corbin and building this program. I saw something before the game that I really, really liked, and you don't see it with every coach. And it was just the trust that he puts in guys. The guy from the grounds crew came over, said, "Do you want to take infield?" And he turns to his infield and asks them.
Speaking of infield, a roller to Yoakum. They'll get the out, give up the run.
And I know that sounds pretty simple, but here's what it does, is it sets a tone with your club that, A, you really trust them. And there's a lot of times where coaches would say, yeah, we're absolutely taking infield. But at the end of the day, a lot of the goals should be just to create an environment where you guys can go out and win. If you need ground balls, go take them. If you don't go take them. Real simple gesture. He's a really intense guy. And when I asked him about it, he said, you know, what we get this time of the season is when you start to let off. Coach Marcus at Stanford was the same way. You press a lot early, and the closer you get to postseason, you turn it over to your players a little bit more.
Vince Conde will step in, the shortstop. Vince on the year hitting .308. And that run snapped that 22-inning scoreless streak in the championship game for the Commodores. Only one down in the inning. John Norwood is on deck. Right back up the middle. Conde with a base hit. And that'll score Conrad Gregor, and it's now 3-2. Well, Vanderbilt's done it all year. They can answer. And they're doing it with the bottom half of the lineup. So Norwood, first pitch swinging to right. Jared Foster makes the catch, 2 down, but Norwood hit it right on the button. So Navin, the catcher, hitting 9th in this Vanderbilt lineup, will step in with 2 down. Von Villan is now throwing 28 pitches, 20 this inning, as he works to the junior catcher out of Des Moines, Iowa. Misses upstairs. Cal, we did the semifinals yesterday, and we had a chance to visit with some of the Vanderbilt folks, and all of them said the same thing about Spencer Navin. He's having a great year offensively, hitting over 300, but it's really more than that with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's that guy, and I think he really needed at the top level. He's the guy that truly can control a pitching staff.
Long run for Stevenson. Can't catch up to him. And with 2 outs, Conde was on the move, and he ends up at third base. Stevenson broke back.
You know, we saw this yesterday, and a lot of times outfielders will read the swing because you can't really tell the difference in sound anymore with these bats. And so you read the swing, and it's a full swing by Navin. You think this ball's going to go further. Watch this swing. It's not a cutoff swing. It's a full swing. But the first movement by Stevenson is that little stutter step back, and that was the difference right there. It's that ball that's directly at you in the outfield that I think is the toughest. You can't judge the depth quite as much. That time he was judging more the swing, and that first step ended up costing him there. Now Vanderbilt turns the lineup over, gets Kemp to the plate with 2 outs.
Kemp now at 407 after he grounded out his first time up. Runners at the corners. Base hit here, and we'll be all tied up. Ground ball to second. Yoakum over to first. But Vanderbilt answers with a couple of runs of their own. We've got ourselves a 1-run game here at the SEC Championship game. When we come back, we'll talk to the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. Stay with us. Out in front of Vanderbilt, Dave Neal, Kyle Peterson, joined by the commissioner of the SEC, Mike Slive. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Dave. Good to be back.
I tell you what, this is great. I mean, we've been here a long time, best weather ever, and Commissioner, it's got to make you proud. The top 2 teams in America squaring off for your conference championship.
Yeah, if you're talking about perfection and you're a baseball fan, this is it, right? We've got a packed house, a beautiful stadium, the 1-2 teams in the country, and what more could you ask for?
It's about 80 degrees. I mean,
and it's beautiful.
You drew up a pretty good one for us here.
It's a beautiful day.
Well, certainly LSU and Vanderbilt have been the stories in college baseball this year. Been chasing down #1 most of the season as Bregwin hits a fly ball to center field. That'll be out #1. Overall, Commissioner, this has been another stellar year. What is it, in your opinion, that makes this league so successful year in and year out in baseball?
Well, I think #1 is the fans love baseball in the Southeast, and the kids react to that. The coaches react to that. You know, we've got the most passionate fans. We have the largest crowds. We're a 3-season, in terms of this, television, for example. We're a 3-season. We got football, we got basketball, we got baseball. And baseball is a real big part of our culture and what we do here.
We're glad it is. We kind of like that. It works out well.
We do, too.
Well, look at the numbers there, Commissioner. LSU leading the country in attendance, the top 5 right here in the SEC. And certainly we hope that at least 4 of those clubs right there will be host sites coming up next week at the regionals. But nonetheless, I mean, to your point, the people just love their baseball.
They really do. And, we've just this tournament alone, we're going to set a record today with about 130,000 people come to this tournament. And this is the 3rd consecutive day with over 10,000 people in the ballpark.
Well, how much do you pay attention? Obviously you do, but in terms of Monday when on ESPNU, the regionals, top 64 teams in the country will play for the national championship. And how much do you get involved in trying to help get these clubs regional sites, top 8 national seeds? What can you do?
Well, I could pray. But we make sure that the committee knows everything that about our league. We have a lot of good folks in our league that create the information and develop it. We know Larry Templeton works with us closely, and he's had a stellar career in baseball and served on the committee. So we try to understand what the committee needs and try to give them that kind of information.
Commissioner, I think one of the great things about this league from a baseball standpoint is it kind of always is what's next. And you seem to be in the forefront of a lot of things. I know the SEC network coming online here pretty quick. What will that do to add the visibility of this sport?
That's one of the things that really excites me, Kyle, about what we can do is not only put the games on, but we can put the kind of shoulder programming around baseball all year long. Feature the student athletes, the kind of kids they are, our coaches, our fans who love baseball. So we can make baseball much bigger for the SEC fan, and something that we just can't do when you put just events on.
Well, certainly as Ray Frime steps in with 2 outs here, and the SEC channel that will debut in August of 2014. I know it had been a long process for you to get that situated, and the announcement came out a couple of weeks ago. From an SEC fan standpoint, I mean, I can't imagine a better channel than that.
No, I can't either. It's going to be SEC for the fans all the time. We're going to put 1,000 events on the first year alone between the television and our digital network. We hope to do a lot more than that over time. And it's just going to be at the kind of a network that we hope it'll be something that people will go to right away when they want to see SEC. And we hope to have the kind of non-event programming that's compelling, that brings people to the network.
2 strikes here to Ray Frimes with 2 down. We'll see how Pfeiffer will deliver that. And that is called 3rd strike. Commissioner, please stay with us. We got a lot more to talk about with you. Good inning for Vanderbilt as they get the LSU Tigers 1-2-3. But LSU does lead by a run. It's 3-2 here in Hoover, Alabama. Back in a moment. Great day at the ballpark. It's always a great day at the ballpark, even when it's 35 and raining like it was back in early March. 3-2 our score here from the SEC championship game. LSU and Vanderbilt, top 2 teams in the country. Dave Neal back alongside with the Commissioner Mike Slive and Kyle Peterson. And we couldn't be here at the SEC championship and not talk some football, because you got to talk football 365 days a year. There's been a lot of discussion, Commissioner, about 9-game football schedule, spring meetings coming up. Tell us where we are. What's the thought process in that regard?
Well, the first thing I can tell you is that the First Amendment is alive and well in the SEC, because everybody's got something to say about it. And, we put in the 6-1-1 last year, where you play 6 in your Division I, rotated 1 permanent. And I think there's a good reason to look at it. I'm open-minded about it. We've got people who want to think about keeping it. We got people who want to have 8 and 2 rotators. We want people who want 9 and maybe 1 permanent, maybe not permanent. And there's no doubt we're going to have a significant discussion in Destin to think about it long term. And as you know, we're pretty careful, we're pretty thoughtful, we're pretty deliberate, and we'll figure it out at some point in time for the longer look. We're working on 14-15 now, so I would think that we've really got to make a decision sometime for 16 or 17.
It's amazing to me just how fast college athletics in general can change. And I know that this year A&M and Missouri come into the SEC. They've just completed their first year. But when you kind of look globally at college athletics, what's getting your attention right now? What do you think maybe needs eyes that maybe isn't getting enough?
Well, one of the things, Kyle, that we've been talking about a lot is making sure that we can get our student athletes a full cost of attendance. In other words, that the scholarship isn't quite enough. We want to make sure that we can get them really what it costs to go to school. And we and some others have been trying to get that implemented. We haven't been successful so far. We're going to try to keep the pressure on to get that done. I think that's a priority for us right now.
Can we push this 11.7? Can we get 15, 16, 17 out there?
Yeah. No, baseball doesn't have enough. No question about it. We do not have enough, but there are other things that make it difficult to move that number.
I know.
Well, a moment ago, great catch out in right field by Jared Foster off the bat of Xavier Turner. And then Yastrzemski steps in. He gets just nicked enough. And that'll send him down to first base. But as Connor Harrell steps in, so much has happened with the addition of Texas A&M and Missouri into the league. We get the new SEC channel and the discussion about football scheduling down the road, where we go. I know how important that is to the fans of the SEC. But I think one thing that you've said over and over to me since I've known you is you're not thinking about this year or even next year. You're thinking about big picture and how it will impact the league.
I think about my role and the role of a commissioner. There's no such thing as today. You know, when I wake up this morning, we have such wonderful staff. Everything, we know what's going to happen today, and it's already in place. But what's tomorrow? What's 5 years from now? What's 10 years from now? And I think all these decisions are based on 10 or 20-year horizons, Dave. And the goal is to make sure that we can keep this league at the forefront of everything that we do. And you know, sometimes you don't know what's going to be out there, but the reality is you have to be flexible enough and creative enough and thoughtful enough to make sure that whatever's out there, either you create it or if somebody else creates it, you're ready to move with it or against it. But it just can't be about today. To me, it's always about tomorrow.
Well, that leads me to this next question, and it seems like things are calm right now on the surface, but in terms of conference expansion, I'm not necessarily talking about the league expansion, but nationally, do you think we've kind of hit a comfort zone for a while at least?
Well, the last thing I'm going to do is try to guess what some of my colleagues will think. That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
But I have a sense that at least at our level, there's some stability, and I hope there is some stability, because I think, as Kyle pointed out, there's some very significant national issues. The NCAA's had a difficult run. We need to look at that organization and how best to make it effective. And I think in order to do that, those of us who work in leagues like this need to have some stability so we can speak with a strong voice.
1-1 on Connor Harrell with a runner at first base. But you look at what the SEC has done. I mean, it has just been an era of SEC athletics right now in football, baseball, and basketball. Of course, Kentucky won the title in 2012. And you think about the other sports, too. I mean, here we are right now in the middle of the Women's College World Series for softball. Alabama, defending champs, won't go, but yet already 2 SEC teams making their way to Oklahoma City.
Yeah. One of the things that's most difficult for us is when you're so good in football, for example, people have a tendency not to think about what you do in other sports, when in reality we're really a strong, broad-based program. If you look at gymnastics, softball, golf, tennis, volleyball. So, I mean, we've got people competing for the national championship. Over 5,000 student athletes, men and women.
You know, one of the things we're talking about too is just from last year's draft. So you got 3 guys up from last year's draft in the major leagues. All 3 of them out of the SEC, which is kind of cool. I mean, right away, Paco Rodriguez from Florida was up right away in the first year. Now we got 2 already this year. One of them being Michael Roth, who I know had a really big impact on your conference just as a whole.
He did. Michael was a McWhorter winner, which is our Scholar Athlete Award. It's not even the best athlete, it's the Scholar Athlete. So, you know, what I try to tell our kids is those are the kind of people we want all of our student athletes kind of aspire to. They get the best of all worlds. They play for the national championship, and they get a great education, and they have a chance to move on.
He was one of those kids, and I know, I mean, on the field is kind of where the eyes come, just because it's to some extent you got to have the success at that point for everybody to see everything else. But he was one of those rare special kids that, you know, that just told the beginning of the story. And that's what I thought was so neat about Roth. The more you're around him, you realize that baseball was, in a lot of ways, almost a vehicle to see everything else.
Yeah, and that's the ideal, right? We are, you know, I know there's a lot of cynicism about being a student athlete, but that really is that's the vehicle. We want to use athletics to help our kids develop and to move on. And then, so he represents what we hope for everybody.
Connor Harrell is making Vanderbilt work hard here at this at-bat with one down in a 3-2 baseball game. Mike Yastrzemski stands over at first base. He was hit by a pitch, only one down. Top 2 teams in America going at it for an SEC tournament championship. These two clubs did not meet during the regular season, so the first time they've gone toe-to-toe. And two great coaches. I mean, while we're on it, I mean, you know, you look at what Paul Mainieri won a 2009 national title. Some rocky times in Baton Rouge, but he's kind of settled that down. And what a job Tim Corbin has done at Vanderbilt. My goodness.
He has. It's hard to believe that he's been there as long as he's been there at this point in time, David, you know. And they represent all of our coaches. You know, this is quite a group of men.
So now it's full at 3-2 with one down. I'm going to get you one more after this pitch. I'll get you maybe an agenda for us as you approach your spring meetings. We talked a little bit about that 9-game football schedule, but I know there's a lot more on the table. I'd like to kind of get your feelings on that. We'll wait for this 3-2 pitch to Connor Harrell. Struck him out. And obviously important time. A lot is discussed in these meetings, and I know some decisions are made, some are put on the table. But what are some of the big things that you will be throwing out to your presidents and ADs?
Well, when you're sitting there as a commissioner and there's an issue on the table, everything is big, Dave.
Okay.
But some of the things that may be of more interest to you include, we're going to take a look at basketball. You know, we spend a lot of time, you know, we've won the national championships 3 out of 7 or 8 years. And yet I think out there's a bit of a national perception that we're not playing basketball at the level in which we should be playing basketball. So we're going to take a hard look at how we schedule. We're going to talk to our coaches about how we want to administer basketball in the coming years and pay a lot of attention to it. We'll have a discussion about our baseball schedule. I'm sure that we'll have a discussion about the format that we used here. You know, we had the first day with single elimination. 4 teams go home. Is that what we continually want to do? And then there's the usual legislative stuff, and there is also something that they like to talk about on occasion, and that's the financial report. So we'll give them a little
every now and then
give a little sense of what that's going to be like.
Well, I'm sure that will change with the addition of the new SEC channel, which will debut August of 2014.
For what it's worth, I thought the format this year was outstanding. I mean, I think what you do is you reward the top 4, which you should reward the top 4 by getting the day off. And what I also like, you know, I didn't like the if necessary game. It just didn't tax the staff so much, and I think it worked out great.
Yeah, from an administrative standpoint, Cal, absolutely it does too. You know, we don't have a do we don't we kind of thing, and but it worked very well for us in terms of putting the games on. And of course, with the weather cooperated a great deal too. That helped a lot. You guys had a little rain during the falls, during the season.
Yeah, a little. We did have a little.
I heard you talk about it.
The 1-0. That's in there for a strike to Conrad Gregor. An explosive second inning. 3 runs for LSU, 2 runs on the board for Vanderbilt. LSU retired 1-2-3 at the top of the 3rd. Mike Yastrzemski was hit by a pitch. He stands at first. Bonvillain is now up to 45 pitches here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. I just think it's just great. I came to the ballpark 3 hours before first pitch, Commissioner, and there's 100 people waiting outside the gate just trying to get into the ballpark. I mean, and that takes me to, are we going to be here for a while? What's the status of Hoover Metropolitan Stadium?
Well, they've done a great job with the Barons gone, and we have, I think, 3 more years on our agreement. You know, one little tidbit is very interesting that exemplifies what you said, Dave. We have 144 RV spots out there. So you get it for the year, and then when you leave here, you don't have it anymore. And they have a phone call on Monday about 4 o'clock to decide who gets them next year. And 4:05, they're gone.
I love it. That's great. Well, there's something about this league. People know how to tailgate in this league. I've learned that in my 18 years around this conference. That pitch just misses a little bit low. It's nice I appreciate you including Texas A&M and Missouri. I've been going to the same 12 schools for so long. It was nice to go somewhere else a little bit. College Station and Columbia, Missouri. Great folks.
Don't get your map out, because I'm not sure you're going to be going anywhere else.
Okay. I'll just leave you a little list of places I'd like to go. See if that could. Let's see what Vanderbilt can do here with Conrad Gregor. Great with the bat, .312 hitter. Fly ball center field. Stevenson should catch it, and he'll do it. Commissioner, always a pleasure. It's a real delight to speak with you and get caught up with things. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. I look forward to it every year. Thank you.
Well, it's all about the fans in this league, and they teach them young. You better pick your school and go with it.
LSU.
5 hits apiece, but LSU leads on the big board. 3-2 our scores. We move to the 4th inning. Christian Ibarra will step in for the Tigers against Philip Pfeiffer. I got to tell you, I love these Vanderbilt uniforms. Old school.
I'm with you. I like the ones yesterday too. Those gunmetal grays. Get those. They break this out. Everybody's got the high pants.
Smoked and hit the chalk. That'll get in the corner for Ibarra. He's on his way to second. Norwood slips. And for Ibarra, that is his 16th double of the year to tie for the team lead with McMullen and Bregman.
You talked about it earlier about the 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in this lineup, and Ibarra is the 6th guy in this lineup, and he is a major part of it. We saw it yesterday, again today. He walked his first time up, came around and scored. This time leads off the inning. Bang, you see the chalk fly. Leadoff double for Ibarra, and LSU back at it.
Ty Ross will step in, the catcher. Ross got a base knock and scored his last time to the plate back in the 2nd inning. Ross will lay down the bunt and does it nicely. The sacrifice works for the big fella.
You know, you look up and down this LSU lineup, one of their best bunters in a spot like that is Ty Ross. That's his 9th sack bunt of the year. It's second only to Mark Laird on the ball club, but comes up right here, deadens it out in front, and when you deaden it like this, watch the front side. See him go down with it. A lot of times people drop the head of the bat, so they'll go down with their top half to bunt instead of their bottom half. That time Ross did a great job of going with the bottom half. You keep the angle of the bat, the barrel of the bat ideally above your hands. If you don't bend your knees, there's no chance you get that bunt down.
Jared Foster will step in as Ibarra now 90 feet away, actually with the lead a little bit less. And the beach ball back on the field. We're going to have to probably hold on to that for a little while.
Once is all right. You go twice in 15 seconds. That usually means that's the end of the game.
In the 4th inning between the top 2 teams in the country. Will they be the top 2 national seeds? We'll see tomorrow on ESPNU at noon Eastern time. Dari Noka, my partner Kyle Peterson, and McDonald will all be on hand to break down the field of 64, the regional sites, and the top 8 national seeds.
It's been a little better day for bubble teams today. Rice won. They would have had an at-large bid if they would not have won that ball game, and Oklahoma beat Kansas in the Big 12 final. OU would have been in anyway. So a few more bubble teams. Indiana beat Nebraska, walked them off today after Nebraska walked them off yesterday. Nebraska's RPI was good enough. Problem is they're a game under 500, so they won't be eligible.
Well, Indiana wins the Big 10 championship, tournament championship. North Carolina wins the ACC tournament championship. Well, what a job by the Tar Heels after going 18 innings last night to come back 12 hours later and beat Virginia Tech 4-1.
A good Virginia Tech squad, too. A team that could end up hosting.
Base hit by Foster will score Ibarra. It is 4-2 LSU.
Jim Penders and the UConn Huskies, too, come into the Big East tournament as the 8th seed. The 7 and the 8. Notre Dame the 7, UConn the 8. Jim Penders and the Huskies come out, so UConn will be back in the postseason.
Andrew Stevenson now will step in. Stevenson hits 9th in this lineup. You know, and the discussion becomes, especially here around this ballpark, I mean, it's threefold, really. Who's going to be a top 8 seed? Who's going to host regionals? And does this league get 7, 8, or 9 teams into the field of 64? And if you look at the back end, start with that first. You've got really 3 teams. Texas A&M, Florida, and Auburn are the 3 teams that would be in that discussion for 7, 8, or 9. If all 3 get in, you got 9. What do you think about that scenario?
You know, I think the tough thing for that, and if you're sitting there, you're Auburn saying, all right, well, hold it. We won a series at both of those, so we ought to be the team that gets a leg up on everybody. And if you're Florida, you're saying, hold it, we played a better non-conference schedule, so that should make a difference because our non-conference is good. If you're A&M, well, we played better in Hoover, so that ought to mean something for us as well. I think everybody has an argument, and I don't think anybody has a really strong argument at this point. 8 bids last year. I think there's a decent chance you see 8 again this year. I think Alabama's absolutely in, and then there's, in my opinion, 6 absolute locks from the SEC side. The other piece is who hosts. We know these 2 are going to host. We know, I think it's a virtual lock that Mississippi State is going to host. Then it's, does South Carolina, does Arkansas. To me, I think Arkansas should host. They went and swept South Carolina. And it's not to say that South Carolina shouldn't host. But the RPI right now is the knock on Arkansas, but I think that's a host team.
If you count the tournament, Arkansas won 20 SEC games this year. It's pretty good.
Yeah, 20 and 12 in the SEC when you figure in this tournament's not bad.
One and one on Stevenson. The center fielder tries to lay down the bunt. Turner's throw to first. Safe at first. We said Stevenson could fly. And when he hits from that left side, it is a tough play if he just gets it in play.
That's what he brings to this lineup. He can go get it in the outfield. And with Stevenson and when Laird comes back in right, you've got some big-time speed in center and right. But from the left side, if he just pushes it that way, and Xavier Turner was already playing in. I mean, it wasn't like he was all the way back on this. Turner comes in and get it and really plays it pretty well. Sets the right foot, throw across, but the speed of Stevenson gets there by about a half step.
Boy, now you flip the lineup. And here's Sean McMullen with 2 on.
That's 6, 7, 8, 9 today. 6 hits already for LSU in those slots.
Scott Brown will, the pitching coach, come out and visit with his sophomore left-hander, Philip Pfeiffer. While we got a second, need to remind you about the men's lacrosse championship, which comes to an end tomorrow afternoon as the Blue Devils take on top-ranked Orange for the Division I title. Syracuse has an overall season record of 16-3, while Duke started the season 2-4, then won 13 of their last 14. And they find themselves in the title game. It's the national championship, the NCAA men's lacrosse title, presented by Northwestern Mutual tomorrow at 1 on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. Pfeiffer's pretty good strike-to-ball ratio. 41 strikes, 21 balls, 62 total pitches, though, but we're not out of the 4th.
Pitch count getting up there, but absolutely no action in that Vanderbilt bullpen as of yet.
Tim Corbin telling me before the game, perfect scenario, 7 innings out of Pfeiffer. Good scenario, 6 innings. You'll need to get Sean McMullen here. There's only 1 down, 2 on, and 1 run is already scored for LSU in a 4-2 game. Fouled off at the plate. 0-2 on McMullen. LSU's 23 conference wins, a school's record. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt set the SEC record for league wins. 26 against conference opponents this year. 26-3 overall. LSU at 51-9. Vandy at 51-8. Good look at the Met here in Hoover, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham. There's a high chopper to first. Gregor will have to hustle. Safe at first. He thought he got him with the glove on the base. Tim Corbin coming out of the dugout to have a chat with first base umpire Tony Walsh.
Watch the first move right here from Gregor, too. He's going to look to second base, and I think he had enough time to make that throw, but part of this is Pfeiffer has to be there. I think the glove got there. I think the glove got there. Watch the glove extend right there from Gregor. It absolutely got there. Now, Pfeiffer's got to help him out. That's one where Pfeiffer has to be at first base. It makes that play a lot easier, but I think the glove definitely got there. Now you got bases loaded, one out for LSU with the middle of this lineup coming up.
Number 2 hitter in the lineup. Casey Yoakum will step in. Bases are loaded, only one down. Boy, would Pfeiffer love a ground ball here. Misses upstairs. It's 1-0. Yoakum once again getting the start today at second base. Jacoby Jones still bothered by a broken bone in his hand. 4th start of the year for Yoakum. And a guy with 95 hits is on deck. Alex Bregman making 96 hits with one today. To right field. Yastrzemski long run, shallow right. Nobody's tagging up. And that's out number 2.
Watch the first pitch of this at bat. Bregman coming up right now, and it's so often when he comes to the plate, he's ready to jump on that first pitch. You got to be careful if you're Pfeiffer right here. You can't just pump one in there trying to get ahead. I agree with you. Little first pitch change up, see if you can get Bregman out in front. If you throw a first pitch fastball, gets a bunch of the plate, it might go a long way.
This might be that discussion right here. Bregman on the year to wrap up the regular season. Bregman finished tied for second in the conference in batting average. Wrapped up the regular season at .388. He and Mason Katz at that number. Tony Kemp was at .408. And that led everybody in the SEC. So Scott Brown turning back around to talk to Tim Corbin. I guess they're trying to figure out what they want to do here. And they are going to make the change. So Adam Ravenel making his way into the game, and he's got one of the best hitters in America to face with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the SEC Tournament Championship game. Back in a moment. And he has been all that and then some for LSU this year. And he'll play for he's invited to the U.S. National Collegiate Team this summer.
I think it's safe to say he'll play for him too.
Yeah.
Certain guys don't have to go do too much trying out. Bregman's going to be one of them. So that collegiate national team is made up generally of freshmen and sophomores. It's the top freshmen and sophomores from across the country. They'll actually play the Cubans this year too. Team Cuba will come to the States, play either a 5 or a 6 game series against Team USA. So Alex will get to be a part of that.
Dave Serrano coached that team last year. Yeah. Tennessee. In fact, next year it'll be Dave Van Horn of Arkansas. Look at Adam Ravenel making his 10th appearance of the year. He has thrown just shy of 13 innings. His job here is to get Bregman.
This is a matchup play. Even though it's only the 4th inning, it's a matchup play early. You got the right-handed hitting Bregman up, a little bit different look than he's seen so far.
Bases are loaded in a 2-run game. Bregman looked at a 94-mile-an-hour pitch the first time. See if he sees another heater here on a 1-0. He does. 93. I think it just says something about Bregman. We're here 60 games into the season. Scouting reports are out about him, what he likes to hit, some pitches he chases, but he continues, even with scouting reports, to hit at such a high level for a freshman.
He's just a player. I mean, the kid is going to hit wherever he goes. It's a blessing to have a kid like this in college baseball. A lot of times they're going to sign out of high school, but that injury kind of turned the scouts off of him. Thankfully, LSU is going to see him for 2 more years in Baton Rouge.
So are we.
Absolutely.
Ground ball to short. We'll try to get the out to Kemp, and they do. So Ravenel does a nice job as he gets out of that dicey situation, but LSU does pick up a run. They have now doubled up the Commodores. It's 4-2.
We faced a kid named Ryan Stanek that was really good, and it was a great ball game, 1-1 after 8. I took Noel out, and they got to our bullpen a little bit, but our kids have fought all week. It's been a great tournament. Our pitching's been outstanding, and I think we're playing pretty well today.
Well, in terms of what you got out of your pitcher today, how far can we expect him to go? What are your thoughts so far?
We're going to just go inning by inning, Dave. Hopefully we can get through this inning.
All right, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, guys.
Xander Wheel. Conde and Norwood will follow Wheel here. 1 down.
Good arm through the bar, because that's a deep play. Had to keep him right in that spot he was playing, probably 4 or 5 steps back behind third base. Had to freeze to try to get that big hop, and plenty of arm to get it across the diamond.
So Conde will step in. The shortstop. Talked to Tim Corbin before the game, and there's so many things to talk to him about the success of this team. It's not one guy, 2 guys. I mean, it's really been, he says, the freshmen have been great. The seniors have provided that leadership. But I said, is there one guy that's kind of been that guy to kind of put it all together? And he says, well, when we had to move Conde to shortstop due to some injuries, he's really solidified us in the infield and made our team complete. And that was the big question mark. Would that work?
Talking to him, I think it surprised him a little bit how good he's been there. Yeah. Because he seems to be really comfortable there. And we've seen this in the past. You go back, what was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when Paul Mainieri made the move 2/3 of the way through the season. It puts Nola at shortstop, and it totally changed the way that LSU worked defensively. A lot of times it could be the exact same thing with the shortstop. Maybe you don't expect to be in that spot. You can see offensively how much Vanderbilt's improved year over year. Tony Kemp, up that average up 140 points this year.
Oh, what a pick from Katz.
Well, and I think you see right there why they want him at first. Even though Katz made a few plays at second base, and a lot of times didn't entirely look like he was out of place, he looks like he's comfortable at first. And on a play like this, you can see he's seen the hop plenty of times. He's more comfortable being in that spot. Takes that first step to try to get that short hop, and that makes LSU a better team. You get Jacoby Jones at second with the solid left side of the infield, then you really do have a very good defensive club.
So here's John Norwood. Tremendous athlete, filling in for Jack Lupo out in left field. Lupo should be back for regional action. Tim Corbin saying he's pretty close. He actually thought about maybe getting him a swing or two today, but said he was probably going to hold off on that. Make sure he is completely healthy for regional play. But it's been a pretty good tournament out in left field for Norwood.
A big time throw in this one already. That ball down the left field line. He went and got through out Rhymes at second.
Big cut at the plate. It's now 3-2. Vanderbilt trying to get Norwood here and get out of the inning. Foul straight back. We'll do it again. .61 pitches for Vanderbilt. Fouled back again. Walked him. Nice job by Norwood, fouling off some pitches, staying alive, and he'll stroll down to first base. Tonight on ESPN, it's an NL East battle on Sunday Night Baseball as Justin Upton leads the Braves against David Wright and the Mets. Atlanta, New York, tonight at 8 on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. Former Commodore Mike Minor with a great job last night in the Big Apple. Yeah. Spencer Navin plunked in the leg. You know, Braves off to a great start. Paul Mahalan, former Mississippi State Bulldog, on that staff. Of course, Tim Hudson at Auburn, along with Mike Minor of Vanderbilt. You see the numbers on those three guys this year from the Braves. Pretty good stuff. And
about the career Hudson's had.
It's just crazy.
He's my age. Same draft year, drafted in '97. Hudson has had one incredible run. Started with the A's, has pushed all the way through, has had a good end to his career. It looks to be in Atlanta. He's over 200 wins, I think, isn't he?
On his 200th win, took one deep as well.
Well, he did plenty of that at Auburn, too. He wasn't afraid to hit it out of the ballpark when he was there.
Boy, he was an outstanding two-way player. Paul Mulholland, great pitcher at Mississippi State. And Mike Minor looks like he's finally settling in. He's been one of those guys that just couldn't really get over that hump. It was always in that, he was always the question mark of the staff. But the way he's pitched this year, I don't think that's the case anymore. So Kemp will step in with 2 down. That's in there for a strike. Norwood's out at second base. Spencer Navin is at first. Ross sticks the glove out. Caught a piece of it, just enough of it to keep it from going to the backstop.
There's some of those you just don't have enough time to get out and block because it's so far away, and that's what it was right here. Ross doesn't have time to move his entire body over it, so you got one chance. Just kind of toss that glove out there and see if you can stop it. Not even really trying to catch it. Slow that ball down. It ended up staying right in front of him, and Norwood couldn't go anywhere at second base.
One and 2 on Kemp.
Nice work down there, fellas. Brush off the knee a little bit, but we're all right.
Got a t-shirt he can wear till he's about 17.
Yep, that's going to work for a while.
1 and 2 on Kemp. He's only struck out 29 times in almost 250 at bats. Looks at ball 2. Off the fist. Going to be a tough play. Ibarra. Got him. Tony Ross took a while to make the call, but how about Ibarra?
Showing you the arm early, and then this time showing the ability to come get it. Ibarra pretty complete over at third base. We'll talk with Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin in just a minute, whose Vanderbilt Commodores have had quite a run this year, but this time it's Ibarra that erases the Commodore threat. 4 complete. 4-2 Tigers. Head coach Tim Corbin. The #1 team in the entire country is Vanderbilt. And Corbs, just kind of quickly tell me last year to this year, because it's been such a big jump for you guys, where you've made the biggest strides.
Well, I just think locker room, the maturity, the consistency of the kids themselves. And I think the experiences from last year, actually, especially in the beginning of the year, have helped us move forward this year.
Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Good seeing you again.
Okay, Kyle. Good. Thank you.
Well, for LSU, Mason Katz will step in. High fly ball in the gap in left center, out in most parks, but not here. Just allowed out. That'll take us to Rafe Rhymes, as Tim Corbin and his club #1 in the country. And how has he been able to do this at Vanderbilt in terms of be so consistent year in and year out?
Well, I think part of it is there's certain spots around the country that 10, 15 years ago you looked at and said, hey, there's a chance you can really build something there. Vanderbilt was one of them. It was conference. It was how great of a school it is, location that is in Nashville. So it started, I think he knew he had a chance to do it. But secondly, near on Corbs at all. I mean, there's a giant attention to detail. That's the way he is. he's intense, but yet has the ability to really relate to kids. And I don't think there's a lot of people that can do both. Sometimes it's one or the other, but he can really do both. And we talked about it earlier. I think that the best coaches know when they have teams that they can trust. And sometimes it's not easy just to be able to do that. But he knows he's got a club right now he can trust. And he's given him a little bit more leeway.
He told me a great story years ago trying to recruit Pedro Alvarez from up in the New York area, and went into a visit with him, and his parents were speaking a lot of Spanish. Fly ball to the right side. Yastrzemski into the sun makes the catch. But he says he walked into the room and couldn't really understand, but still was trying to convince the mom and everybody in the room that Vanderbilt was the right place for Pedro. And he walks out and really wasn't sure, but ends up getting Pedro. What it says is that there was that comfort zone with the family, and Pedro came to Vanderbilt, had a great career, and now already in the big leagues, having a good run of it this year.
I think he's a great fit for that environment, because you're recruiting kids a lot of times. I mean, there has to be a higher academic standard just to get in there, but he's, from a mentality standpoint, from an approach standpoint, I mean, he knows the game inside out. But it's everything else that really makes the top coaches the top coaches, and he has all of them.
Ibarra is now 3-0 at the plate. Ravenel on the mound for Vanderbilt. Came in a dicey situation. The bases loaded, but got the out to end the inning. And Ibarra with the walk down to first base. This is what Coach Corbin's guys on the bench do between innings.
Pretty tight over there. Pretty tight dugout on the Vanderbilt side.
Little synchronized swimming out in right field grass.
You got a different leader every inning. They'll go in the middle of the circle. It looks like it's up to them as to what it's going to be. Yesterday had a little Tai Chi going at times.
I mean, I think we might have had a little duck, duck, goose at one point. I thought yesterday.
When they started spinning around in a circle.
Ty Ross 1 out of 1 today. He scored a run. The 0-1 to Ross. That's in there for a strike. It's 0-2.
I think part of that, and to me, it gets overlooked too often in major college athletics. You're dealing with college kids. I mean, they're 18 to 21 years old. If you keep too tight of a clamp on them, it's not going to work usually. You give them just a little bit of leeway to go out and be a kid sometimes. It's amazing how much better guys will perform because they're more comfortable. And there's a balance, and sometimes it's hard to find that balance. But stuff like that, you're not going to roll out to a AAA game and see 10 guys go sprinting out to right field in between innings. It's part of what makes college baseball. I'll never forget first professional game I was at. I was in rookie ball in Ogden, Utah. We started the game and I'm standing up, and I'm still standing up 2 outs into it. And our manager comes over and looks at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, we stand for the game." He's like, "No, you don't stand anymore. Go sit down." This environment is a different environment. You learn it pretty quick when you go to the next level.
Which is why I think so many baseball players I know are chasing that dream of big league baseball, and you get drafted and they dangle a few bucks in front of you. But for most kids, I think this is the route. I mean, it's just.
For the vast majority it is. So here it was. Yeah, this is. What do we got? We're getting tighter circle. Now we're getting a little bit bigger. We got an outlier out there. Oh, then we switch it up. You got to pay attention.
Here's a chopper to first. Conrad Gregor will step on the bag. Nice job by Ravenel. And the walk to Ibarra. Doesn't come back to hurt the Commodores. Vandy down a couple of runs. Tony Parker and company just too tough. Nate Fury will get the ball. Bonvillain is done for the day. 19th appearance for Nate, 2-1 record. 13 strikeouts, 3 walks this year, and just under 17 innings of work.
Primarily been a matchup guy. Just 16 2/3 and 18 appearances. So usually coming in to get a right-hander or two out. I think this time they'll look to get at least an inning out of Fury. LSU bullpen's in pretty good shape. They didn't tax him too much yesterday. Cotton can come back. Bourgeois can come back. So if they can get one, potentially two out of Fury, they're in a really good spot.
Xavier Turner fouls it straight back. Yastrzemski and Harrell to follow Turner. There's a shot. Oh, Ibarra almost gloved it. Instead, it's a base hit for Turner. And he will lead off the fifth with a base hit.
That's where the grass ends and the dirt starts. And a lot of times the grass will come out a little bit further. That's that first dirt hop that a lot of times as an infielder, especially when it's moving that hard, you think maybe he's going to come up a little bit higher. Grass usually stays down. A lot of times it'll catch a spike mark on dirt and shoot up. And I think that's what Ibarra was hoping for right there. Just went right under the glove.
Not to mention he's having to deal with some shade as the sun sets. Fury pitched an inning in a win against Alabama on Friday. Struck out 3 batters. Yastrzemski, the right fielder today, hit by a pitch his last time up. Now, we got into the discussion a little bit about just college baseball being great, especially, you know, the game's never been stronger. And I mean, for instance, ESPN's going to televise every single postseason baseball game this coming year. It's at an all-time high in terms of its popularity. The venues that you go to, for the most part, are as good as many minor league facilities. And I think a lot of the kids, as you touched on, I think a lot more of the youngsters coming out of high school feel like unless they're a first rounder, and even some of those are going to college, but unless you're a first or second rounder, I'm going to go enjoy the college experience and get better via the university system.
Well, and I think part of it, too, is it's just everything else that comes along with it. If I'm Major League Baseball, if I'm going to write a kid a check for $2 million, I would prefer to see him in a setting when he's on his own for a few years instead of just coming directly out of high school. I think you got a lot better read, A, athletically, but B, emotionally, which is important.
Yastrzemski, the senior, base hit to right. Turner will wind up at third base, so runners at the corners and nobody out for the Commodores.
We showed it earlier. Last year to this year, the guys that have made tremendous jumps on this Vanderbilt team, and Yastrzemski is one of them. Giant numbers this year for Yastrzemski. Senior leadership right in the middle of this Vanderbilt lineup. That time fastball, turns on it. Now you get Connor Harrell, Conrad Gregor coming up next. Yastrzemski bumped that average up 35 points. Kemp over 100 points. Connor Harrell about 80 points. And Vince Conde up over 100 points. Everybody today in the starting lineup for Vanderbilt hitting above 300. It just shows you how balanced they are up and down the lineup.
Well, Fury facing the fury of Vanderbilt's bat right now. And another tough out as a cleanup hitter. Connor Harrell will step in. He has singled today and struck out. Leads the team with 11 home runs and 64 runs batted in. Harrell's been pretty solid this year with runners in scoring position. There's the pitch out to throw down to second. Got it. Yastrzemski thought he beat it. He's still standing on the base. Can't believe it.
Guessed right. LSU picks the right time to pitch out right there. 1-0 count, so an action count at the plate, even with a guy like Harrell who can really go, but it looks like it's just a straight steal. Yastrzemski peeks in right there. Tag down just in time. See if he gets that tag down in time. I think he got him before that front hand got in there. First out of the inning right there on a well-timed pitch out.
Fastball up at the letters.
Watch a tag in the front hand. I think he's safe. I think he's safe. It looked like Yoakum sold it. He peeled out of there real quick to make it look like he got the tag down, but I think that right hand got to the bag first. The throw was definitely there in plenty of time.
The 1-2 from Nate Fury's off the plate. It's 2-2. Turner does still stand at third base. That hit him. So now runners back on the corners as Connor Harrell is hit by the pitch.
So two-seamer that took off. Looks like Harrell's all right. Trying to run out real quick. Took a look. That's the one that always scares you when it hits a guy. Whether it hits him on a hand or a wrist, there's just not a lot there to absorb it.
Here's Conrad Gregor. 1 out of 2 today. One of the best hitters in this tournament. He is now 8 out of 18 at the plate with 4 RBIs in the tournament. Oh, 2. As late game situations go, both these coaches told us before the game they feel pretty good about the back end of their bullpens. We get to the 7th inning here. We're going to see some good arms coming in on each side. Two great closers for these two teams.
You know, back to that college discussion we were having a minute ago, and I think one of the knocks from professional baseball to college baseball is pitch count sometimes. And how you'll see guys' pitch counts go up. I think one thing that would be good, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I don't think there'd be anything wrong with putting a pitch count in college baseball. Because if you can take that out of the fear that Major League Baseball has with college baseball, I think the two can work together more. Everything else, you can't argue with the developmental standpoint based on the numbers. There's a higher percentage of college players in the major leagues than there is high school players. So there's no argument there. If you can take that out, which is an argument, I think it would help the two work together a lot more, which would benefit the college game.
We showed earlier today there are 3 guys that were in this tournament last year that are now at the big league level.
Yeah.
There's a look at the American-born players on the 2012 opening day roster, the 40-man roster. 64% coming out of the college game.
See, the argument about Major League Baseball developing guys out of high school, just it's not to say they don't. Good pitch right there from Fury. Wrapped the slider around the feet of Conrad Gregor. It's not to say that they don't. Clearly, they develop plenty of players in the professional game, but college does as well. Take a look at the way the Fury goes after Gregor right here. A little first pitch slider, so he gets ahead. But fastball elevated, now 0-2. Slider down and away. He's going to go right back to it. Slider, fastball elevated, then wrap the slider here in a minute around the feet. That's what he wanted to end with. That's Fury, primarily a two-pitch guy. So the slider is the off-speed pitch. You want to throw it down and under the bat of the left-hander.
Xander Wheel, the DH, with 2 down in the inning, and runners at the corners. This inning started with a single by Turner, the Yastrzemski single, but then was caught stealing. Connor Harrell, who's at first, was hit by a pitch, and then the strikeout of Gregor has led us to Wheel. There is Vince Conde. He's on deck. But Wheel's going to have to reach base. And now they're loaded. A 4-pitch walk. Obviously, these two clubs are top 8 national seeds. Alan Dunn out to talk to Fury. But Cal, does it once you get a top 8 seed, does it really matter if you're 1 or if you're 4 or 5 or 6?
No, it doesn't make any difference because you've guaranteed yourself the chance to play at home in Super Regional. So one thing that I would like to see the committee do, and I know it's been discussed before, I think we ought to be seed 1 through 16. They're doing it this year in softball. I think it's a good idea. You match 1 up to 16, 2 to 15, go all the way down, because not all 1 seeds are created equal. You realize that when you get into it, and there ought to be a distinct advantage to be that number 1 overall seed. I think that should count, but it shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, it makes for a few more arguments maybe, but it's fine. They got plenty of arguments already to have to deal with.
Right. Which one more?
Yeah, we'll just throw a few more.
So Vince Conde with the bases loaded. His club's down a couple of runs. He has a chance. The shortstop for the Commodores, Vanderbilt, trying to win this tournament championship after being here the last 2 years. And they have come up short in both of those occasions. Florida beat Vanderbilt 5-0 in 2011. Last year, Mississippi State got them 3-0. But the 7th time in the last 10 years, the Vanderbilt Commodores are playing for the championship. There's a strike at 0-2.
Fastball in a good spot right here, trying to locate on the outside black. You can see Ty Ross just frame it up on the outside part. Now 0-2 count, bases loaded, 2 outs. One of those big spots in the ballgame.
Conde not chasing that one out of the zone. 1-2. That's inside, almost hit him. Deep to center field. Stevenson can cover some ground. What a catch! He may have just saved the day for the LSU Tigers.
That got him on their feet. How about this route? Watch the first step. It starts right there. It is a direct, perfect route to it. He catches it in stride about as far as you can go to make the play. That's why Stevenson's playing in center field. It's not because of the bat. It's because of those legs. Off the bat, looks like it's going to score 3. Instead, Stevenson erases the Commodore threat. Still 4-2 Tigers.
That's part of the reason why they are something else defensively.
Here's the other thing, too. Built for Omaha. I mean, that's what you need in Omaha because of the size of TD Ameritrade. But the size of that outfield, you need guys that can go get it. Stevenson, and when they get Laird back full speed, really gives LSU an advantage.
Jared Foster, Stevenson, then McMullen, the top of the lineup for LSU. Here's a fly ball hit to left field. Norwood to the track makes the catch. Well, we've certainly seen a difference in college baseball, Kyle, the last few years. The bats have had an impact on the game dramatically. Matter of fact, that last hit by Condi should have been a home run.
Maybe that one too.
Right. But the things, I think over college baseball, people want to see a little bit more. And the question is, you know, how do we get there without changing the bats? And that's been a big discussion. I know you've talked to a lot of guys about that.
And I think the one that's really led the charge on this is Jack Leggett, the head coach at Clemson. And I'm in full agreement. And really almost every coach that I've talked to is in full agreement. And that is taking the college baseball, which is a baseball that is not wound quite as tight as the minor league baseball, and the seams are a little bit higher, and instead going to the minor league ball, which is wound a little bit tighter. It comes off the bat a little bit hotter. But one of the keys is the size of the seams. You could close your eyes, grab these two baseballs, having never played the game, and tell which is which. The college ball is on the left. You see how the seams are a little bit more raised? The minor league ball is on the right. That's a ball from the Southern League, which is AA. And there's a big difference. And that difference is a few. One, from the pitcher standpoint, seams are lower. You can't make it move quite as much. But two, there's going to be more drag if the seams are higher. The ball's spinning. Wind's going to catch the seams a little bit more. It's not going to go quite as far. The second piece is it's wound tighter. How fast it comes off the bat. The minor league ball comes off a little bit quicker than the current college ball. It's an easy solve to get a little bit more offense into it. The goal is not to get it back to the days where it's 15-14 and guys are hitting it all over the park. The goal is to get it back to where, well, when you hit a ball like that, then when it comes up to bat, you think there's a chance it's going to go to the ballpark. It actually goes out of the ballpark. 2 years. 2 years that Creighton has played home games at TD Ameritrade, and we've played the College World Series at TD Ameritrade, and not one ball is left in center field. And to me, that just says we need a little bit more. Not a ton, but a little bit more. And I think the baseball is the easiest, most cost-effective way to solve that.
Well, just to put this in perspective, studies were done with the new bats versus the old bats about a year ago. Sports Science, we covered it quite intently a year ago. A ball that traveled, all things being equal, a ball that traveled 400 feet in 2010 only traveled 375 feet in 2011.
Well, and remember, the bats of 2010 were not the bats of 1998. I mean, some things had really changed up to that point are ready to take some out. I know we were working on another Sports Science piece that hopefully is ready when we get to the postseason that really shows a comparison between a minor league ball and the current college ball to see what the difference would be. But it's really those two things. Wound tighter, smaller seams, the ball's going to go a little bit further.
You look at those numbers from 2010 to where we are today, and the numbers across the board are all down with the exception of the sack bunts. They're up. And you talk to Paul Maneri, and he's one of these old school guys. He's still not. A lot of guys are having their 3, 4, 5 hole hitters lay down bunts in the first inning to move a runner over, but Coach Maneri, he's like, no, my guys in the middle lineup hit. I'm swinging with those guys.
Well, and I think it's a better approach. Now, it helps when you have the guys that he has hitting 3, 4, 5 because they have the ability to do so much. But I still think it's a better approach. Quick inning right here. Ravenel's been pretty good since coming out of the bullpen for Vanderbilt. But to me, it's one of those things that we need to see in college baseball. I think it's coming. Ravenel has really quieted these LSU bats since coming in, but the Tigers still lead at 4-2.
The men's lacrosse championship comes to an end tomorrow afternoon as the Blue Devils take on the top-ranked Orange for the Division I title. Syracuse has an overall season record of 16-3. Duke started the year just 2-4, but they've won 13 of their last 14, and now they're in the title game. It's the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual tomorrow at 1 on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Vanderbilt down a couple of runs. 9 hits for LSU, 7 for Vanderbilt. Commodores coming off a game in which they just demolished the baseball against Mississippi State, pounding out 19 hits, scored 16 runs yesterday. Mississippi State scored 8 runs on 14 hits. Most of the times that'll get you a win. Kurt McCune getting some action today. Takes over for Nate Fury. Saw the numbers a moment ago on McCune. The junior out of Norco, Louisiana. 6'3", 171 pounds. And he gets an opening strikeout.
Start for Kurt McCune, who coming into this season, I thought maybe would be the 3rd starter for this LSU club. Cody Glenn has really taken that slot. But in this spot for McCune, you get him in there again before the postseason. You know you're going to need McCune in some role, whether it's more long relief or a starter if LSU has to work their way out of a loser's bracket at any point.
Spencer Navin hit by a pitch his last time up. Just off the plate. Umpires.
I'm just watching the reaction of people in the stands after this. Guys throwing their arms up, just start screaming. 85 feet away, directly to the left of home plate, but you got a better view.
Navin had a good view as he swings over the top. 2 down.
2 Ks so far from McCune, and both have been on a fastball, just rear back and letting it go.
She's happy. She just wanted to do that 1 pitch earlier.
In a workout in this inning.
Top of the order, Tony Kemp. Tony's looking for his first hit today. 3 ground outs. His average has dipped all the way down to 403. The SEC's leading hitter. Also with 6 triples on the season. The junior second baseman won the batting title. Led the league in on-base percentage, runs, stolen bases. Certainly a player of the year candidate. A lot of guys up for that. You could take Mason Katz, Bregman,
Renfro. Kemp's got a pretty good argument. 30 stolen bases, led the league in batting average, and Been pretty stellar at second base defensively, too.
Kemp, a guy that started his career in left field. There was a hole to fill last year at second base, and they decided to move Kemp over there. That's down in the dirt, so that'll be a 2-out walk issued to Kemp. But he has really found a home at second base, and that's probably his spot the next level.
How about that? That's a decent year. Lead the league in average, runs on base percentage, stolen bases, hits, at a position that you didn't even start at 2 years ago. And for Kemp, you know, ideally, you want your best player to be the guys that everybody is kind of drawn to, and Kemp is that guy. I mean, you can tell when you're around him. He can change the feeling of a dugout just by the way he's bouncing around and getting guys into it. He's one of the true leaders on this club.
Now it's Turner. That one hops way in front of the plate. Ross has to chase it down halfway to first in front of the Vanderbilt dugout. And Kemp. Ross had to really hustle. Kemp's the kind of guy that would go to third on something like that.
He was peeking. He was going around second looking to see where it ended up. I think it's a changeup that got just kind of choked it. Watch where this hits for the first time. It almost hit the grass. That's one of those as a catcher. I mean, you're taught to go down to your knees and block it, but you're almost better off standing up.
Back-to-back strikeouts to start the inning. Then McCune walks Kemp and then bounces one 5 feet in front of the plate. Turner on the year had 9 doubles, no home runs. There's a strike. It's now 2-1. Wow. Hit right on the button. McCune in self-defense puts his glove up and stabs it. Inning over. Wow. Can't hit it much harder. Hey, how you doing? Couple of strikeouts, and McCune will call that a pop-up.
To win the Capital One Cup and be the best in men's and women's college sports, you've got to lay it all on the line. Every play, every game, in every sport. Follow your school and check the standings at CapitalOneCup.com to see who will win the Capital One Cup.
Advanced. Florida has moved on. Getting quite interesting. Alabama, the defending champs, knocked out by the Lady Vols. Casey Yoakum will step in as Brian Miller gets the baseball. Brian on the year with 15 saves. This is his 30th appearance. Look at that ERA of 1.54. And I'm glad he's out here. A guy that pitched like yourself. 3-time All-American at Stanford, pitched in the big leagues. This is one unique motion.
I like these guys. It just shows you. I mean, there's more than one way to get it done at this point. A lot of times you think closer's going to come in and just throw it as hard as he can with a power slider. And when you get to the big leagues, it's a lot of what you see. This level, just show me the guy that can get outs. We see the same thing with Chris Cotton for LSU. Left-hander is going to come in and throw 85, 86, but still throws a ton of strikes. And it's the exact same thing with Miller here.
Yoakum, fly ball to the right side, and Yastrzemski will put a glove on it. We talked to Scott Brown before the game, the pitching coach for Vanderbilt. He said he didn't really want to mess with the motion a lot when he got here to work with Brian Miller.
Even the arm angle's a little bit funky. Everything else is pretty simple. I mean, kind of sets low. A lot of times when that arm angle is there, the shoulders really have to roll as you go to home plate. You almost have to follow that arm angle all the way in.
Scott Brown said that consistency is the issue. He can't get too fast with that motion. He's got to be very consistent with what he does. And one thing that they have worked on this year is coming over the top a little bit more. And he said that Miller was one of those guys a little unsure about it early on, but they've worked on it and said if you have a little confidence, it's like having another pitch in your arsenal.
The key to this, too, is guys that can get sink out of this arm angle. So the arm angle is already low, and a lot of times that ball will run. So it'll go side to side and move a lot, but it won't change planes. It won't go down. The key is the hand angle when it comes through. You can still have a low arm angle, but if your arm gets over the top of it and really finishes it instead of across the side, that will give it sink, both on the fastball and on the slider, like we just saw there.
Alex Bregman hadn't seen a whole lot of this. This is the first meeting between LSU and Vanderbilt this year. And he looks at a strike. 2-2 now to Bregman. That's upstairs.
There it was. So how about that? So we're going to go down under, show you at 82, 83. And then I'll surprise you and try to show you 91. And if you haven't seen it before, that pitch right there, if you're not geared up, he'll blow it by almost everybody. That's a great sequence. Different arm angles is one thing, but different velocity and different stuff is something totally different. 82, 83 with a fastball from down low with that frisbee slider that goes side to side. Then he can surprise you with 90, 91 up top.
One of the reasons he is with a 1.5 ERA and 15 saves. You a little surprised we're seeing him here in the 7th inning?
Well, I think the one thing when you look at Miller, he hasn't really been a one-inning guy. 29 appearances, 46 2/3. They can stretch him out a little bit. But no, I'm not. And I think one of the other things, too, especially in a game like this, is you don't want to wait to use your closer and look at the end of the game and say, well, we never had the lead, so I'm not going to use my closer. I mean, sometimes you don't necessarily need to be in a situation where you're ahead. Just get him in there and try to keep it there.
75 miles an hour. Look like a wiffle ball coming up there.
Frisbee side to side. Watch where it starts and where it ends up.
1-2 on Katz. That one's outside. 2-2. It's now full on Mason Katz. Take another look at this pitch.
Trying to throw that slider. That time got around it, so it just spun and didn't get in.
Showed him a little 75 in that sequence and came back with a little 90.
That'll get guys shaking their head heading back, too. He's got that, too. A little peek on the way back. Cats, 4-2 Tigers.
From above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Nice job of Miss Alabama, Anna Laura Bryan, singing God Bless America here in the bottom of the 7th. LSU leading Vanderbilt 4-2. Well, there are a couple of big plays in this one early on. Kyle Yastrzemski missed a fly ball, and well, watch what happens here. Nobody at first base, 2 runs would come in to score.
Yeah, that error ended up changing the end, and in this one, Andrew Stevenson going to get the ball. That's the bases loaded 2 outs when Stevenson makes that play. So instead of Vanderbilt scoring 3, they get none, and that kid flips his hat down in disgust. We stand at 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Bottom of this LSU lineup has really been one of the keys today. 5 for 8, a couple of runs, a couple of RBIs. Vanderbilt 1 for 7 today with runners in scoring position, but 16 combined hits between the 2 top teams in the SEC.
Well, this Vanderbilt team shut out in their first game in this tournament. And Tim Corbin said it was just strange. It was like your 17-year-old student that had been a great straight-A student all his entire high school career, and he comes home with like a D in a class, and you're like, what? Well, that's how he felt about that game in the opening game, but it seems like Vanderbilt's got their bats back together. Great environment today.
Yeah.
Going to have about 12,000, maybe a little bit more today. Number 1, number 2 in the country. How would you assess where we are today and how these 2 teams have matched up?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen what we thought we'd see, and that's 2 pretty complete teams. The one thing, and we talked about it at the beginning, and I think the key to beating a Vanderbilt team is to try to slow them down, try to get them out of their comfort zone when they get on the base pass. I think LSU's done a pretty good job of that. I mean, Vanderbilt hadn't been running all over the place and hitting and running here, and unless you pick the right time to pitch out, they pitch out. Ended up throwing Yastrzemski out at second base. That changes that inning. If you can slow them down and force them just to stand up there and swing the bat, listen, they're pretty good at it, but it's just not exactly the way that they want to play. And I think LSU's done a pretty good job of that today.
Does this game, how will this game help both these clubs as they move into NCAA postseason baseball next week?
Well, I mean, there's a piece of it. I don't think the coaches would ever admit to it at this point, but there's a piece of everybody that just kind of wants to get through. Let's make sure we don't get anybody hurt. Obviously, you want to win this thing because you're taking a trophy home, but let's make sure we don't get anybody hurt, get a few guys some work, and then get on to what we're really trying to get done, and that's the start of regionals next year. I think it gives the winner a little bit of a confidence boost going into next week, but the loser definitely doesn't go in with any less.
Nick Rumbelow gets the baseball for LSU. He'll take over for Kurt McCune. It's the 4th Tiger pitcher. 28 appearances this year for Nick Rumbelow. 3.38 ERA and 26 2/3 innings of work. Rumbelow, the junior out of Bullard, Texas. Fouled straight back to Yastrzemski. Hit 95 on our radar gun. It'll be 3, 4, and 5 for the Commodores. Connor Harrell and then Conrad Greger. 3 of those guys have a base hit today. That was pretty nasty. 1 down.
95 with a fastball, 84 with a slider. Good tight spin on that one from Rumbelow. Starts it at the bottom part of the zone, and watch this spin. Top to bottom, 12-6. The toughest one to hit as a hitter because it's changing so many planes. You got to square it up to get to it, and that time Yastrzemski swung right over the top.
Well, I think that's a great example. The scouting report we got from the coaches says he's got a live arm, attacks the hitters with an aggressive approach.
That would qualify.
Yes,
fastball, fastball. I've got one of these too.
Big looping breaking ball out of the zone. It's 1-0 to Connor Harrell. Connor's average at 320. And it'll go up as it slips past Bregman at shortstop. Conrad Greger will step in, the first baseman. He is 1 out of 3 today with a double. 3 home runs on the year and 43 runs batted in. 94-mile-an-hour fastball in there for a strike. I don't see the Commodores run today. 125 stolen bases coming into this game as a team, but nothing so far this afternoon. Ross threw out Yastrzemski earlier today trying to steal. Yesterday against Mississippi State, Vanderbilt put together 4 stolen bases. Harrell's 7 out of 9 in the stolen base department. That one slips past the second baseman Yoakum. First and third with 1 down.
Good defensive shift on there for LSU, and it ends up working against them. Watch the second baseman right here. So that's Casey Yoakum in a spot that they're playing further over towards first base. Now watch where the ball ends up. Normal depth, it's probably a double play that ends the inning. But we talked scouting reports earlier. Scouting report right there on Gregor is he's more pull side on the infield. LSU took a chance. Gregor takes it up the middle. Now Vanderbilt with something working here in the 7th.
Xander Wheel 0 for 2 today. His average has slipped under 300. He's at 296 now. Did have a walk back in the 5th inning. Well, the Commodores have been so good all year with runners in scoring position, but today just 1 out of 7. Popped him up. I think that'll get to the seats. Ross giving it a good look, and that will be a few rows back. There goes the runner. Here's the throw down to second, not in time. And a stolen base for Conrad Gregor. That'll be his 20th of the year. He is now 20 out of 23.
Got the breaking ball they were looking for, too. It's an easy pitch for Ross to throw on, but with a breaking ball, it takes just that much longer to get to home plate. Velocity not the same. Good jump by Gregor, enough to get in there now. Second and third just 1 out, and a 2-1 count to Xander Wheel.
Well, I was just looking out in center field, and
yep,
Stevenson is really shouting.
The same thing, and you got a guy in Wheel, and I know that Stevenson can go get it, but this might be about as much raw power as anybody on this Vanderbilt team has. If he gets one to center, he could get it over the head of Stevenson. Not a lot of people can.
Vince Conde tried it back in the 5th.
It didn't work out as well.
Hit him. Bases are loaded. Well, the Commodores taking some pitches today. That is the 4th hit batter today by LSU pitching. And here's Vince Conde. Stevenson will stay in that same spot out in center field after Conde made him chase one down on the wall and left center his last time up. See all that room out in the gaps. This is a big ballpark. The first time you've seen a good look at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. It's 340 down the lines and 405 to straightaway center field. One and one on Condi. Line drive, base hit. That'll drop in for a 2 RBI single for Vince Condi, and we are tied at 4. Kyle, he got robbed his last time. Didn't hit it as hard, but more productive.
Just hit it in the right spot. Fastball in on the hands right there. Condi does a real good job of fighting it off. He's fighting just to get the barrel to it. He didn't quite get there, but he got enough of it. Watch the hands come all the way inside, just trying to get that barrel to it. Little back spin out over the second baseman Casey Yoakum's head. We're going to do ball game. 2 for the Commodores here in the bottom of the 7th. That time off the bat of Vince Condi. That ties it. Still just 1 out.
So Vince Condi picks up RBI 41 and 42. Andrew Harris will grab a bat. The senior out of Nashville, Tennessee. Andrew has only had 8 at-bats. This will be his 9th. It's Paul Maneri out to the mound.
He's in there to bunt. He's in there to bunt. I think what Tim Corbin did right there is you get a left-hander that's an easier look for the right-hander, and he's going to put a safety on at some point during this at-bat.
I think Paul Maneri is well aware of that, and he's trying to figure out how to play this defensively. Mentioned kind of a light Vandy crowd this tournament, but the Commodore fans showed up in pretty big numbers today. A lot of black and gold here at Hoover Met. So Rumbelow will continue to work. Runners at first and third, only 1 down in the inning. Xander Wheels at third. And the pitch out. And Ross immediately looks down to third, see how far down Wheel was and if he was coming.
See the hands of Harris right there too. Hand of Harris started going all the way up the bat. I think the safety's on right here until they take it off.
I mean, if this is a well-placed bunt down the line, there's not a whole lot LSU can do about it.
No, there's not. And I think in this spot, too, because you're going to have Ibarra charging from third base, he can take it with him. Because Katz has to stay on that bag. He's holding the base runner on first. So Katz has further to go than Ibarra at third.
And they'll pitch it out again. Do you go ahead and walk him here?
Well, he is. And I think the thought process right here for Paul Maneri is it's a lot tougher to to lay down the safety squeeze when there's a force play at home plate, because it's a much easier play for the catcher. You don't have to make a tag. You can sit there and play first base, and so your percentages are a lot better to throw that base runner out. Now you put him on, create that force at every base, but you get Navin up, a guy who can handle the bat himself.
What, do you keep it on here?
I don't think he will. No, I think he takes it off here. Because the other thing that happens here is it allows Katz to come in from first. In the spot before, Katz is holding the base runner out, so he's back 4 or 5 steps. He can't get there quite as quickly. I'm surprised that Ibarra's about 3 steps behind third base right now. I thought he'd be further in.
So Navin, who hits in the 9th hole, still a 300 hitter on the year, 313 to be exact, with 4 homers and 33 runs batted in. Fouled straight back. Big cut by Navin. The top 2 teams in the country playing for the SEC Tournament Championship. And we are all tied at 4 here in the 7th. Well, that's a nasty pitch. Froze. Navin at the plate. 1-2.
At first action, that's what tells you. See just that little movement. That little movement. The rocker step back when he stood Navin up, then you know that they're going to take that pitch. And even if he does swing, you can't do anything with it. But he's seen it once now. I think he's going to react that way again if he sees a slide.
Got him to pop it up to right field. Is it enough? Jared Foster makes the catch. Here comes Wheel. The throw on the money. Got him! What a throw from Jared Foster. America tied at 4. Double play just ended the 7th inning. Vanderbilt did pick up a couple of runs, but watch the guy on the top of the dugout here in the green shirt. Don't tell me this game doesn't matter to him.
Better be careful over there.
You don't want to fall into the Vanderbilt dugout.
You don't want to fall into the Vanderbilt dugout. That's right in front of the Vandy section. Cool it down now.
Ryan Miller continues to work for the Commodores. Rafe Rhymes, Christian Ibarra, Ty Ross, 5, 6, and 7 in this lineup. Brett Wiseman, the new left fielder, will take over for John Norwood, who was pinch hit for last inning. Boy, it just seems like that pitch takes forever to get to the plate. It's like, come on, you can get there.
Sometimes, too, you see the right-handed hitter, so front foot hits the ground about 4 times, just waiting for it to get there.
We've seen 74 from him. We've seen 83. We've seen 90. And all of them are moving.
You know, what it makes for 0 comfortable at bats. I mean, you go up there and you can't just sit on one thing. He throws you 3 totally different looks.
Rhymes will stroll down to first base.
Third baseman number 14, Christian Ibarra.
And here's Christian Ibarra. This guy has been a hit machine second half of this season. Boy, what a 6-hole hitter to have in your lineup. He looks at a strike. Popped him up, middle of the infield. Kemp says he has it. And he does. Well, tonight on ESPN, it's an NL East battle on Sunday Night Baseball as Justin Upton leads the Braves against David Wright and the Mets. Atlanta, New York, tonight at 8 on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. If the Braves can't close that out in fine fashion up in the Big Apple. In a couple of weeks, I'll be able to get away from the college game for a little bit and focus on my Braves.
Back to being a fan again for a while. Get the boys out to the ballpark.
Absolutely. Ty Ross in foul territory. Here's Turner. Back pedals. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did.
It's pretty good work right there, because most of the time when a third baseman overruns a ball like this, there's no chance they can get back and make the play. So watch where Turner starts, and now where he ends up. Has to come back almost onto the grass to make this play. That's one, too, where Condi's got to try to make that play. It's a much easier play for the shortstop in that spot, to where you can tell your third baseman's kind of hung out to dry a little bit, but a great job of Turner to get back to it and make the play.
You know, that's something that Vanderbilt doesn't have a whole lot of at Hawkins Field in Nashville, is foul territory.
Yeah.
It's a different look for these guys. Jared Foster, he's plunked on the leg. So here's Stevenson. He's having a great day. 2 out of 3. The number 9 hitter. And also made an outstanding grab in center field back in the 5th inning. That's fouled out of play. 1-1. You touched on it. Mark Laird, another outfielder for this LSU team. It's got great speed. Twisted his ankle in batting practice yesterday. He's missed the last couple of games, but you throw him into the mix, although Foster just made a heck of a throw in right.
And a heck of a play earlier.
Yeah. This LSU got some depth. There's a chopper to Kemp. He'll wait on it. You better hurry up. Stevenson thrown out. So we go to the bottom of the 8th. Tony Kemp at the top of the order for the Commodores, coming up in a tie ball game between the top 2 teams in America.
Stay low, boys. Keep those feet moving. You turn up on 3. 1, 2, 3. You turn up. It's time to go. Push up through to bring it home. Nothing is getting in the way. Leave on with nothing left to say. It's time to go.
The road to the College World Series starts here. What a way to wrap up conference play. LSU Vanderbilt tied at 4. Tomorrow at noon Eastern on ESPNU. It's the selection show. Dari Noka, Ben McDonald, my partner Kyle Peterson. Hopefully you'll get there.
Gonna have to get to Charlotte at some point.
Yeah. Tony Kemp at the top of the order for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Joey Bourgeois gets the baseball for the LSU Tigers. His 33rd appearance of the year. He's a big strikeout guy. Right now he's behind 3-0.
Kemp's taking one, maybe two right here.
That's off the plate. 4 pitches and a walk. So Tony Kemp, who leads the conference in stolen bases, is at first with nobody out. For Bourgeois, this is his 3rd appearance in the SEC tournament. He took the loss on Thursday night against Arkansas. Xavier Turner will step in. Throw back to first. Let me ask you this, why not? You got a guy like Kemp who's got great wheels. Why not send him at some point in this at bat as opposed to giving up the out and trying to sacrifice?
Well, I think we assume that they're going to sacrifice. You could slash right here too and send him and kind of send him with cover.
He keeps the bat down. And Turner is tagged out by Katz, but that'll get Kemp down to second base. So the go-ahead run is 180 feet away with one down. Turner did his job. So now Mike Yastrzemski will step in. Boy, those leadoff walks, we have seen it time and time again, in particular in this tournament. It's not just scored a run, it's opened up innings, big innings. They'll do the intentional walk to Yastrzemski, and they'll pitch to Connor Harrell. Now you set up the double play ball, but you do pitch to a guy who's tied for the league in RBIs with 64, and he does have 11 home runs.
I think part of this is stuff, to where Bourgeois' stuff fits better against a right-handed hitter as opposed to a left-handed hitter. The breaking ball and fastball is primarily what he throws. That breaking ball is going to come back into the bat of the left-handed hitter, Yastrzemski. In this spot, at least, when he wants to go to that slider, it'll go away from the barrel of Harrell. Then you got to face Conrad Gray, the left-hander, waiting right after.
Couple of hits today for Connor Harrell. Has seen his average jump up to 323. It started at 318 today. Bourgeois. First pitch in there for a strike. The coaches describe Joey. One of the first things out of their mouth, possesses that bulldog mentality. Well, he needs to be one right here. With 2 on, 1 down in the 8th.
seeing that spot, Bourgeois was going to make sure he didn't throw that breaker ball over the plate. If he was going to miss, he was going to miss out away from the plate. Armego kind of dropped it. He just flung it up there to make sure it didn't end up in a spot and Harrell could do something with it.
Fastball at the knees, out number 2 and a huge out. And Paul Mainieri and Alan Dunn really knew what they were doing there. They felt like they had a strikeout matchup and they got it.
And lived at the bottom of the zone. Watch location of fastball. The first one's up, but watch this one. Down right at the knees outside Black. Going to waste a breaking ball, then come back. About as low as you're going to get a strike call right there. Ended up over the middle of the plate. Harrell thought it was down, but instead it's a strikeout. Now 2 outs for Conrad Gregor.
Doesn't get much easier. Gregor, the first baseman, has doubled and singled today. He's also struck out. His average at .312. He does have 3 home runs. That misses off the plate. Slow roller.
Get over here, get over here.
Bourgeois steps on the bag, gets the out, and he gets out of a jam. We will head to the 9th inning, all tied at 4. The action, keep up to date with what's going on in the regionals. But who are the 64 teams? Dial us up, noon Eastern tomorrow on ESPNU. Ben McDonald, Kyle Peterson will be there along with host Dari Noka and break down the 64 teams, the regional sites, the top 8 national seeds.
It'll be a full night. It's going to be a blast. We get selection show tomorrow, then bases loaded coming up, where we'll be able to pop you all around the country to where the action is for the first time. ESPN covering all 16 regionals. We got something going on anywhere in the country. And the ability to get you out to that one.
You know what's great? This is how I envision this working. You're watching it on your big HD screen. You got your laptop, your iPad. You got bases loaded on that, so you kind of got like 2 things going on.
Oh yeah.
Don't miss anything. It's kind of how I envision. I don't know how that's
that's good, because that's the idea of the entire thing. So that's great that you envision the way that it's actually supposed to work. That's helpful.
Sean McMullen. See, nobody ever asked me about that. That's what I would have said. You know what? This is how you should do this.
It was just assumed.
Sean McMullen, top of the order for LSU. Tied it at 4. Here in the 9th. LSU jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the top of the 2nd, but Vandy answered back with 2 in the bottom of the 2nd. Fly ball center field. That is out number 1 as Connor Harrell makes the grab. Tyler Moore will grab a bat. He will pinch hit. The sophomore out of Baton Rouge will hit for Casey Yoakum. So with Moore stepping in with a .289 average. No homers and 11 runs batted in. He'll probably stay in the game and play first base, which means Katz will probably grab that second baseman's mitt and play there in the bottom half of the 9th. Popped him up out of play. Brian Miller working into his 3rd inning in relief. go.
And over the top. So we see Miller go down below, throws the fastball from down below, then the slider from down below. This time goes back up top and pops 89 on the outside part of the plate. I got a few extra inches on that side of it. Spencer David was sitting off the plate, caught it in the middle of his body. 2 quick outs again for the Vanderbilt closer, who's been nailed since coming on.
So Bregman will hit with nobody on and 2 out. You want to face him. This is the situation. 1-0. Katz is on deck. He looks at a strike. It's 1-1. Here comes the 1-2 with 2 down. To short. Condi. Fields throws. Inning over. We will head to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Commodores will try to win it when we come back. Baseball is brought to you by Ink, the small business card from Chase. Learn more at chase.com/ink. Full house here at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. It's the championship game of the Southeastern Conference Tournament. Number 1 Vanderbilt, number 2 LSU. Not only the top seeds, but the top 2 teams in the country. Vince Condi, tough luck back in the 5th. Robbed by Stevenson at the warning track with the bases loaded. Then he came back with a base hit. Picked up 2 RBIs in the process, and that tied the game at 4.
This one's working out about the way we had hoped. I mean, you got 2 of the top teams in the entire country going head to head. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Vanderbilt with a chance to win it right here. 26 regular season wins in the SEC. That an SEC record for Vandy. A run right here gives them the tournament title too.
Will the 3rd time be a charm? 3rd consecutive year for the Commodores in this tournament final. Lost to Florida 2 years ago. Mississippi State last year. Trying to win it here. They've won it twice in the program's history. The last game in 2007. Also won it back in the early 80s. LSU has won 9 tournaments. They've been here 17 times. There's a strike, as we talked about. Last inning, Tyler Moore will stay in and play first base, and that moves Mason Katz from first over to second as Yoakum is back in the dugout. One and 2 on Wheel. Curveball hit to 3rd. Ibarra, long throw. Got him. 1 down. Here's Vince Condi, the shortstop. Has some pop in the bat. 6 home runs on the year. Almost got one out of here earlier today. Bourgeois continues to work for LSU. They're a have been 4 extra inning games at the tournament this year, including 3 10-inning games and then 1 17-inning affair. That one misses. Mississippi State, Texas A&M, or excuse me, Missouri went 17 innings. Bulldogs won that one 2-1 over the Tigers. They were trumped last night, though, by an 18-inning affair.
I watched about all of it. I stayed up and watched the rest of that one. Popped on a little ESPN 3.
He's raking now for the Commodores, and he's on at first with 1 down. Boy, his 3rd hit today. Paul Maneri will make the change, and he will go to that bullpen. Let's see who he decides to pick. It looks like a left-hander.
I think it's Cotton.
And if it's Chris Cotton, he's one of the best, if not best, closers in the country. He and Miller right up there. And he likes to make an entrance. The guy who made the team is a walk-on. Saw an ad on a wall for tryouts. Thought he had a chance, went out, showed what he had, and he's ended up having a pretty good career at LSU. Well, this has turned out to be kind of what we expected from the top 2 teams in America, Kyle. I mean, it's a 4-4 game, 9 hits in this game for LSU, 11 for Vanderbilt. It's nice to see some runs. We've had so many low-scoring affairs in this game, with the exception of Vanderbilt and Mississippi State yesterday. But as we get to the 9th in this one, put your point of view, your perspective on this.
I think they've, in their own ways, shown us why both of them are 2 of the top teams in the entire country. What you've seen from Vanderbilt is offense up and down. I mean, when they went into this ballgame, they had all 9 starters hitting above 300. I don't know if there's a team that's going to make the postseason that could say the exact same thing. They show you balance. They can show you some power in the middle of it. Both have shown depth in the bullpen, which I think is important. When you get to this time of the tournament, it's not always the matchup of aces to start the games, but you do end up seeing a lot of the bullpens, and we've seen plenty of each. And I do think, for the most part, LSU was really handled the speed of Vanderbilt pretty well. Now, let's see what Tim Corbin decides to go right here. Paul Maneri goes closer to get the left-on-left matchup. And let's assume that Wiseman still hits. You got Condi with only 3 stolen bases on first base, so not an ideal guy to run, but they might try to take a chance at the bottom of this lineup.
Well, they got the lefty Cotton in. He'll face Wiseman, who just came into the game last inning, a left-handed bat, so a tough task for Wiseman. The bottom of the order, 8 and 9 coming up. Navin on deck. But Chris Cotton has been dealing all year for this LSU team. Just look at his numbers. 36 1/3, 41 Ks, only 2 walks, 15 saves. Same number of Vanderbilt's Brian Miller. But it says 41 strikeouts and just 2 walks. And a lefty-lefty matchup right here with 1 down. There's a strike. Brett Wiseman was playing high school baseball in Mansfield, Massachusetts last year. That was
a different setting. In
front of 12,000 in the bottom of the 9th at the SEC Tournament Championship against the second-ranked team in the country and one of the best pitchers in Chris Cotton. See those last 13 games on that bottom line. .421 average for Wiseman. Tries to lay down the bunt.
That was ball 2. That was ball 2. That's one you don't have to go at there.
Smoke, but foul. And the race
I got the green hat. I got the green hat.
Yeah, you win. That's because Green had tucked in the shirt.
Oh, a little deke out in right field. He's going to keep that one.
One and 2 on Wiseman. Fouls it off again. Popped him up. Shallow center. Stevenson says he has it, and he does. 2 down. Well, Spencer Navin will step into the batter's box, but this is what happened his last time up.
Looks like he might have it deep enough out to right field, but Jared Foster had a little bit different idea. A one-hopper to Ty Ross, applies the tag, and that kept it tied at 4 after Vandy had scored 2 in the bottom of the 7th.
Navin looks at ball 1. Breaking ball. Hit to center field. And Stevenson is there to put a glove on it. And we will go to extra innings for the 5th time in this SEC tournament. Coming up, it's Cats, Rhymes Ibarra. 4, 5, and 6 for the Tigers.
Welcome to the NCAA Baseball Regionals.
First pitch swinging. That ball is gone.
Break to left down the line. That is a home run.
Well, bases loaded, the perfect spot to watch postseason baseball, especially we have games like this throughout the postseason and the NCAA tournament. As you look at our line score there, 3 runs by LSU in the 2nd, but then Vanderbilt answered back. Another run by the Tigers in the 4th, but then 2 in the 7th on a 2 RBI single by Vince Condi. You see the LSU 6 through 9 batters, 6 out of 12 today, but Condi's 3 out of 5 for the Commodores. We are tied at 4, the 5th extra inning game in this tournament. The last time a championship game went extra innings, LSU was involved. 2010, they beat Alabama 4-3 in 11. Ryan Miller now working into his 4th inning. For the Vandy bullpen in this tournament, looks like their starters just have been dealing. They're in a 1.53 tournament ERA out of the bullpen. Mason Katz can end this with 1 shot. Katz with 14 home runs. Trails LB Danza and Hunter Renfroe in the SEC by 1 in that department. But he is tied for the RBI lead with Vanderbilt's Connor Harrell, both with 64. There's a strike. 3-2 now on Katz. at the plate. Got him looking. Catch was making his way to first, but home plate umpire David Savage rings him up.
It's a little frisbee slider that Miller will show you, and a lot of times guys will give up on it and see where this ends up. Yeah. It's close enough. And they even had to go out and get it just a little bit. It's definitely one that you got to protect against.
So now Ray Frimes will step in with one down. There's that little wiffle ball coming up there at 75 miles an hour. .74. I mean, how about the combination during the regular season? You get Zomet, Beatty throwing hard. When you
miss.
That one's just off the plate.
He can surprise you and throw hard, too. That one at 88. We've seen Miller up to 91 so far today, and I think that's what does make him so dangerous. The other thing about Miller is not a 3-out guy. He went 5 innings this year against Tennessee, so if you need to bring him in like they have here, he can come in and slam a door. 2 strikeouts here in the 10th. The 4th inning of work today for Brian Miller. Here it is again. That's the thing with that pitch. It's not that it moves that much. There's a velocity difference between that and a fastball. That's part of it. But the other is, for a right-handed hitter, you just can't pick it up. It's coming from behind you. By the time you pick it up, it's almost by you.
Ibarra, first pitch line to left. Red Wiseman is there to make the catch. Commodores in the bottom of the 10th. We'll see the top of their lineup. Kemp, Turner, Yastrzemski. Grizzlies. The Spurs lead the series 3-0 after last night's 104-93 OT win. Coverage begins today with the Kia NBA Countdown. Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals tomorrow at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Tell you what, the series to keep an eye on. Indiana going home after a split down in Miami. Pacers mean business.
That one got interesting, but it got interesting in the first. Took the LeBron drive with about 2 seconds to go for the Heat to win the opener. This one's getting pretty interesting too. 1, 2, 3. Tony Kemp coming up without a hit today. But he hits it hard somewhere, or bunts and tries to take it with him. If he bunts, I think he brings it down that first base side, tries to get it past Cott.
He's swinging away, hits it on the bunt. You said he'd hit it hard, and he did to right field. Out number 1 as Foster makes the catch. One of those days for Tony. It's not just the rally cap at Vanderbilt, it's the rally shirt for many of those guys. As Xavier Turner steps in. He's a first pitch swing. Pops it up right side. Katz calls for it, makes the catch. 2 down. So now the 3-hole hitter, Mike Yastrzemski, will step in. He's got a hit today, but he's hit into a double play. Hit by a pitch, walk, struck out. So Chris Cotton working to him, throws a first pitch strike. Oh, 0-2 on Yastrzemski. I'd say he's been pretty good so far the last couple of days.
He's been pretty good the whole year.
Yeah. That's over the head of Ibarra. I just think Chris Cotton is a great story. I mean, the guy just tried out for the team. Somebody told him if there was an opportunity to go try out, spend a day on the ball field. You know, there's usually a lot of invited walk-ons. Well, he just kind of showed up.
Grabbed his glove and said, all right, I'm here. Where do I go?
And here he is with 15 saves out of the LSU bullpen in his senior year. Gets the ground ball hit to Bregman. And that'll do it for the Commodores. Nice job by Cotton once again. He gets the top of that Vandy lineup to go down. We will head to the 11th, all tied at 4. Only appropriate that a little Neil Diamond Sweet Caroline going on here at Hoover Met with Mike Yastrzemski on the field. As in Boston, they play this every game. Matter of fact, after the Boston tragedy, Neil Diamond showed up and did the song live. It was great. If you ever had a chance to get on YouTube, check it out. Of course, Mike Yastrzemski, the grandson of legendary Red Sox Carl Yastrzemski. We go to the 11th inning. Tied at 4. And Miller now in his 5th inning. He's only thrown 56 pitches. He's been pretty good out there. He has baffled this LSU lineup. It'll be Ross, Foster, Stevenson, 7, 8, and 9 in the Tiger lineup. Two and two. .74 miles an hour on that last pitch. We've seen him touch 90 today. Do you think this kind of stuff from Miller works at a big league level?
You know, I don't know why you don't try. I mean, the challenge is guys that throw from that slot usually have 3-4 more miles an hour. They're not throwing 93, 94 from down there. But you see some 86s, 87s. You know who that guy was actually a few years ago was Darren O'Day. Remember Darren O'Day at Florida? Who came out, he got to the big leagues pretty quick too. He was a late pick. He was like a 40th rounder or something. But he threw a little bit harder. He's from that slot. I mean, the one thing that Miller shows you is the ability to do that and then run it up there 90-91.
Ross to right field. Yastrzemski floats over, makes a catch. One down.
But to your point, I think you can get away with it at the lower levels of the minor leagues. I don't think you can the further you go up.
He's good at this level. I know that.
He's great.
Oof. Oof. It's almost fun to watch. The ball's moving so much and coming up there that you don't see 74-mile-an-hour pitches very much at this level. But LSU's having a tough time with him.
I'll tell you the other thing, too. Give the kid credit. Most kids that do this are guys that throw like 86, 85, where you don't feel like it's quite enough. You know, he was 90, 91 and said, all right, this is going to make me better. Drops down to this angle, and I'd say it's made it better. 15 saves and a 154 ERA coming in, and he's tossing more zeros up today.
Once again, pitching coach Scott Brown said he's tried to work on coming over the top a little bit as an additional pitch. And we'll see that every now and then. That's when he's touching 89, 90. He's retired 8 straight. That's a strike. And Foster not making any friends with David Savage behind the plate.
There's a few of them over there not making any friends. Mason Katz didn't earlier that time. Foster didn't even peek.
3-1 on Foster. There's a way to get down to first. Hit him right in the hip. Well, we've had a lot of hit batters in this game.
I think that's 6 or 7 at this point. 6, 4 for Vandy, 2 for LSU.
Stephen Rice, the left-hander, getting loose. Foster's been popped twice now. And Chris Schauber will grab a bat. Schauber will hit for Andrew Stevenson in the 9th hole. .250 hitter. 7 RBIs on the year. Here's the throw down to second. Safe. Throw was a little bit high, and that was just enough to let Foster get second.
Not wasting any time. Schauber up there, and they put the hit and run on first pitch. So Foster off and run, just 2 stolen bases on the year. But the swing of Schauber right there, you could tell that he's swinging to protect. So the hit and run was on. Still a great jump by Foster. High throw, can't get the tag down. Pretty good play by Conde just to get close though. Threw that glove down, just didn't get there in time.
Two. Tell you what, it's a tough outfield and right. We just saw that big wide shot. Yastrzemski looking right into the setting sun. The only spot on the field that's in the sunlight. He's having to shield just to watch the pitch come out.
That's the one he wanted. There's the one you're talking about, going up top, 90 right here, and usually Navin has to reach back that way.
That's been a strike.
Get that call.
That's been a strike today.
Absolutely.
Goes way outside with that one. It's 2-2. Now it's 3-2. Top of the order, Sean McMullen awaits his turn to hit. Back up the middle. Foster coming long. Here's the throw to the plate. Up the line. And LSU has a 1-run lead here in the 11th.
Schauber on to pinch hit. The left-hander has a lot better look at that slot that we've seen from Brian Miller so far. First pitch, they hit and run. Schauber swings through it. Foster steals the bag, gets him in scoring position, and Schauber drives him in with a single.
Stephen Rice has been throwing in that Vanderbilt bullpen, a left-hander. I wonder if they might go lefty-lefty here. I think that's what they're going to do. Got a couple of left-handed batters. And McMullen and Moore. So Vandy will make a change. Tell you what, up until that base hit right there, Miller had been really baffling this LSU lineup. But Stephen Rice making his way under the diamond He'll get the baseball as Miller calls it a day. "74 pitches out of that bullpen for Brian Miller." Normally we see these closers an inning, maybe two, almost 6 innings of work for Miller today. Busy afternoon.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, a guy that has gone 5 innings over the course of the year, so it's not the first time that they've asked him to do it. But at that spot, you could see, to me, the swing that Chambra took might have been the best swing that LSU took the entire day. And part of it is the longer he's out there, the stuff for Miller isn't going to be quite as crisp as it was earlier, but it's a totally different look for a left-hander. You can see the ball out of the hand the whole way. He followed all the way in and did what you're supposed to do. Just try to take it right back up the middle.
Well, now you got a lefty. You got Rice coming on, facing back-to-back left-handed hitters. For this Vanderbilt team, they had the top of their order come up in the 10th, 1, 2, and 3, and Chris Cotton got him out. I got to think with Chris Cotton, he has been stellar, not just in this tournament all year. Advantage right now, LSU certainly.
You don't think they're going to go to somebody else? You think they're going to leave Cotton there?
I'm just kidding.
I think it's probably safe.
I'm not a baseball man, but I'm just going to say
that's probably safe. I mean, this has been a blast. It's been an absolute blast. It's the game that, selfishly, I think you wanted to see. You want to see 1 against 2 in a game like this. It doesn't always happen. In fact, rarely does it ever happen to have a setting like this, and it has lived up to the billing. You got it on both sides. You got thrown at the plate at a big time defensive plays, and now we go to extra. LSU takes the lead at this point, but Vanderbilt's not going to go away.
Tough for Mr. Miller, but I pitched very well.
Oh, he did his job.
And he almost had the strikeout. This was 2 strikes through fastball, 90 miles an hour, and Navin was framing it up pretty well, but then Chambra, a couple of pitches later, delivers the base knock that scores the run. So Chambra's at second base. Here's McMullen. There's a strike. 0-1. Rice on the year with a 2.81 ERA. 32 innings of work. This is his 19th appearance of the year. Big looping breaking ball stays up and out. Rice, the junior out of Crawfordsville, Indiana, working against Sean McMullen, who's 1 for 4 today. Line caught by Condi, inning over. McMullen hit it right on the button. Excuse me, he's out number 2. And Chambra back to second.
It's not an easy play for a shortstop, and I know it's right at him, but it looked like that ball that knuckles at him. You can kind of tell by what Condi did. Watch the jump right here. He thinks it's maybe going to go over his head, and then at the last minute it comes down a little bit. But corrals it, a ball that was hit right on the button from McMullen, but Condi in the right spot.
The 2 down for Tyler Moore. Rice certainly liked it. Breaking ball down in the dirt. Moore came in. The pinch hit in the 9th, struck out against Miller. Fouls that one off at the plate. 1-1. Nothing is safe, especially a 1-run lead against the Vanderbilt bats. There's a strike, 1-2. If you're wondering, 4, 5, and 6 coming up for the Commodores. Off the plate, 2-2. You know what's amazing? You look at these teams, it's just the depth of the staffs. I mean, it's not just a couple of starters. You've got 8, 9 guys that can really deal. Like Rice. He gets the strikeout, but LSU gets the go-ahead run. We will go to the bottom of the 11th inning. Do the Doors have enough of the bats? Stay with us and find out. Title, but they'll have to hold off Vanderbilt here in the 11th. Boy, some huge plays in this game. Stevenson chasing down a Condi fly ball to center with the bases loaded. Then Conde would come back a couple of innings later. Base hit, scores 2, ties it up at 4. Then Navin with a fly ball to right. Foster makes the catch, the throw home, and Ross puts the tag on Wheel and ends the inning. The double play saves the day for LSU. Then a moment ago, Chambra up the middle would score Foster with the go-ahead run, and that's how we're standing right now at 5-4. And Chris Cotton with the baseball in his hand with a chance to close it out, looking to pick up the win in this one and not the save. First pitch to Connor Harrell. Chambra stays in to play center field for the Tigers. Cotton has back-to-back saves in the last 2 days. Pumps his own with another strike. It's 0-2 on the number 4 hitter. And the Commodore lineup has a couple of hits today, and he's been hit by a pitch. To short. Bregman gets that Sunday hop, and then one hops it over to Moore.
Pretty good play by Moore like there, and I liked how low he got. You almost have to act as a catcher when you know you're going to get that long hop. You get enough time to react, but still you got to go all the way down low, almost get eye level. Watch Moore when he goes down to get it. Almost too much time for Bregman. It gets real low, ends up catching it at eye level, a lot easier to react. And the bottom half of the body goes down and gets it.
Well, here's Conrad Gregor. Ground ball. Katz throws 2 down. And Chris Cotton has retired all 16 batters he has faced in the SEC tournament. If he can get number 17, the Tigers will win the title. Xander Wheel, perhaps the last hope for the Vanderbilt Commodores. LSU Tigers are your 2013 SEC Tournament champs as they knock off number 1 ranked Vanderbilt. We had the top 2 teams in the country, Kyle. We play 11 innings. It's a 1-run game. And the LSU Tigers get the final out. Ibarra over to Moore. And they win their 10th SEC Tournament championship. What a day of baseball.
You talked about it. I think it's one of the keys to both of these clubs. The depth that we saw today, especially after both these teams having to fight back through the losers bracket in the tournament, is what makes both of them so darn good. There's so much depth in each one of these bullpens. We saw it from not just one guy or 2 guys, but multiple guys on each side. It was a heck of a baseball game. That one was fun.
Well, for Vandy, tough luck. They lose for the 3rd time in this title game. LSU, they have now won a conference record 10 titles. Alabama 2nd with Mississippi State 7 apiece. Number 1 and number 2 in America. They will await the field of 64 tomorrow. They will be national seeds, no doubt. That'll be at noon Eastern on ESPNU. It's the NCAA Baseball Championship Selection Show presented by Capital One. Find out who will battle it out for a chance to go to Omaha. Up next on ESPN2, it's the NCAA Championship Studio Update. So for Kyle Peterson, the rest of our great ESPN baseball crew, I'm Dave Neal. Thanks for joining us. Good night from Hoover, Alabama.